Hello everybody, we are live and we have our student in class. Say hello, HJ.
Yellow. I'm HJ. I don't have an intro and outro.
Music's very loud. Thank you, Axie. I'll adjust that. I literally just added it before the stream because I wanted to a little quiet compared to HJ. What's going on today? Let's see here. How's that? Do I sound louder now? Hopefully not too loud. I sound better? Excellent. Not only do we have stream title scuff, we've also got audio scuff to start the stream.
Oh, of course we do.
We got 2 resubs, Verdi and HJ. Thank you for the resubs, both of you. Alright. Also, yes, the new loading screen music is a complete jam. Sounds perfect. Oh yeah. Alright. Cool. So, tonight we're going to be learning about Pokemon VGC. So, I was going to make a joke that the V tree provide name doesn't stand for virtual, it stands for VGC. No, not really. Hi, Toph. Alrighty. Cool. So, Pokemon VGC. We'll start off with a very quick intro. I kind of did go through some of this previously. I probably should just put it back up quickly before we move on to this one, which I'll put up on screen now, which is the basics. Let's just put up this one real quick. Alright, so Pokemon VGC, competitive rule set. So all battles are double battles. The format is a bring 6, pick 4, which means you bring a full team of 6, or you can bring less if you want to, but there's no reason to. And you only pick 4 of the Pokemon that you bring with you to go into any given battle. In an actual tournament situation, it's best of 3. On the online ladder, it's best of 1, so it's something to be aware of, where there is a difference. All Pokemon are set to level 50, so if you have a Pokemon at level 1 that's got all the moves it needs, and you give it all the training that it needs, you can just leave it at level 1, it'll get automatically leveled up to level 50. That's relatively new in the last couple of generations. It never used to. Like, you used to be able to take level 1 Pokemon into battle, which was some really interesting strats with that. Now you can't anymore, which, whatever. Makes gameplay a little bit more consistent. You're only allowed 1 of each Pokemon species and only 1 of each held item per team. We'll cover that in a bit more detail later. Yeah, in-person uses open team sheets because it's a new thing they're trying out with the current games. Rank ladder is team preview only, which means you can see the 6 Pokemon and the items they've got, but not what moves they have, which is what the open team sheets would give as additional information. Legendary and non-Paldean Pokedex Pokemon are banned. That's not entirely true anymore. I did write this a while back. And Pokemon make use of any move or ability they're able to get through normal gameplay, which has to be worded that way because there was a glitch at one point in Scarlet and Violet where you could get Indeedee with Trick Room, which it can't learn any other way via Terror Raids. I think you still can via the Terror Raids. And Game Freak and the TCPI basically went, yeah, that's fine. We fucked up. You guys can benefit from that.
I mean, respect to them for owning up to that.
Yeah, basically they were like, hang on, it's not supposed to be able to learn Trick Room. That's kind of broken. Nah, well, fuck it, you guys can keep it. Alright. Yeah, just in chat, it is busted as hell. It's one of the, or was one of the best Trick Room setters. It's not so much anymore. Alright. So, let's just have a quick talk about our experiences with competitive Pokemon. What experience do you have with competitive Pokemon, HJ?
I watched a fair few, starting a couple years back. So in the ORS time, I think that's when I started watching it. Playing wise, zero. I have nothing. I know the basics of how stuff works, but not enough to get into the competitive stuff.
Okay, have you ever done any like single battle stuff online or anything like that as well, or just nothing at all?
I've never done anything. I've just read up on, like, for instance, like the IVs. Even I don't fully understand that. Just know that you need numbers for EV stuff, but nothing in depth, I guess, is what you want to say.
Yeah, so for myself, I have been playing competitive Pokemon. I started in singles in 4th generation, which is Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. So that gives you an idea of how long ago I started. And played off and on in competitive singles all the way through 4th generation into early 5th. And then picked up VGC in early 6th generation, so that's XY. And played XY and RS, which was also 6th generation competitive, into Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon. Oh no, sorry, RS was Sun and Moon, that was 7th gen, sorry. X and Y was...
One after, I think.
Yeah. Did we get another remakes during X and Y? No, we didn't. It just went straight
No.
to... It just went straight to 7th gen, yeah, that's right. We got X and Y and then they just didn't do anything else.
Yeah, and
6th
then
gen
they
was
did-
weird.
No, they did X and Y, Sun, Moon, and then it's the Pearl and Diamond remix, and then it's
The Pearl and Diamond remakes are a Generation 8, so that's the same as Sword and Shield. So that
yes,
was the
Sword and
next
Shield. Yeah,
generation.
that's the one.
But I didn't play anything in Generation 8, so whatever. I haven't started up again until Generation 9. Yeah, so I've been playing for a while, off and on. I've been to a few tournaments. I've never had anything particularly outstanding, so won't dox myself for being like, oh yeah, I was at this tournament. Someone goes, looks at him and goes, haha, I know who you are now. Or anything stupid like that. So that's fine. Cool. So basics. We'll start from the very, very beginning with Pokemon, just in general, right? So these are like sort of the few major... Shut up, Axe. You know who I am. The few major sort of things here. I grabbed some screenshots from a particular site we're going to go and take a look at in a bit. Pokemon Showdown for these. But obviously all Pokemon have base stats, right? So that's sort of the easiest place to start when you're talking competitive Pokemon. So Aaron Kingler, my favorite Pokemon. God damn it. Yeah, so base stats are unique to each Pokemon species. So I used Ceruledge as an example here because it's a cool Pokemon from the new generations for all these screenshots. But you can see on the left there, sort of underneath Ceruledge, you can see the base stats. So, 75 HP, 125 attack, so on and so forth down the line there. And they kind of dictate what a Pokemon can be good at. So every Ceruledge will have the same base stats. That's like the basic building block of Pokemon. Every Pokemon has base stats, every Pokemon of that species, so every Ceruledge will be the same, every Pikachu is the same, so on and so forth. Different Pokemon will have different base stat spreads. So for example, with Ceruledge, it has average bulk, would probably be a good way of putting it. So you can analyze like the bulk of a Pokemon by looking at its HP and defensive stats. It's a sort of medium speed Pokemon. We'll talk about speed tiers and stuff in a bit, and I'll cover what I mean by that. But a speed of 85 is pretty average. It's not particularly fast. It's not particularly slow. But that's a pretty sort of like average tier speed. And you can see it's with a special attack of only 60, but an attack of 125. So we're sort of talking about what dictating what a Pokemon would be good at. It's not a special attacker. Like you wouldn't want to run special attacks on it because it's not going to take advantage of its stats of that at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the base stats there. And then you can see that that's affected by the level. So you can see there's none of the other stuff's filled in there. I actually zeroed out all the IVs and EVs on that left side screenshot. But if you look at the numbers over on the right, you can see that at level 50, which is the default level for VGC, that 75 base HP converts into 135 HP at level 50. So a level 1 Ceruledge would have 75 HP is the way that's sort of measured, right?
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, so
the fact is, right, the base is literally when it's level 1. And that's it, right? Like, if you have a standalone level 1, nothing happened, that's what you get.
Correct, yeah. So it's never particularly relevant actually in battle, so we don't really care as much about the base stats, but they're good at informing you when you look at a Pokemon what it might be good at. And we'll cover that a bit more when we go and actually jump in and start playing around with some of the numbers and things like that. The next important thing is what are called IVs, or individual values. So these are set when a Pokemon is created, as I said there. It's a hard thing to word, right? Because if you hatch an egg, the IVs are set when the egg hatches. It's a bit more fucky than that, I guess is the good way of putting it, because in some games the IVs will be set from the moment you pick up the egg. So like if you go to the nursery in some of the older Pokemon games and you get an egg from the nursery couple, the IVs are set then. Like you could save it, soft reset and hatch that egg multiple times, it'll always be the same Pokemon in that egg. But if you save it before you get the egg from the daycare couple and hatch it, you could actually change the stats every time you reset the game, as long as you didn't save after getting the egg. Every time it hatches, it'd be different. And that's sort of why I've gone with just created there. Same for when like a Pokemon, in Scarlet and Violet, for example, as far as I know, it's set when the Pokemon spawns. So if a Pokemon spawns in the overworld, when you catch it, those IVs are set from when it spawned. So if you like, I don't know if they do respawn if you save and reset if the same Pokemon respawns. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure like as soon as you see a Pokemon in the overworld, its IVs are set, right? And these go from 0 to 31, with 0 having no effect on the stat, 31 having the highest effect on the stat. These can also be affected by hyper training, which is where you use your bottle caps and stuff like that, and that just sets an IV to the maximum 31. That becomes relevant. We'll talk about this a bit more when we start talking about strategy, when you might want to have a lower IV in a particular stat. The easy way to think about it is you always want 31 in the relevant stats. So HP, you always want at 31. There's never a time where you want your Pokemon to have less health, because then that makes it less able to withstand attacks. So that's always going to be a 31. And if it's using attack as its primary attack statistic, you want 31 attack. Defensive stats, you always want 31s in both defense and special defense. If it's not special attacking, you don't really care. And then speed is a weird corner case, depending on if you're using a Trick Room strategy, which you've probably heard about before. You want the speed to be as slow as possible. Every other time you want it to be as fast as possible anyway, unless you want it to underspeed specific things for if they play Trick Room and stuff like that. Speed becomes a mess, which is why we'll cover that a bit more. All making sense so far?
Yep, so far so good.
All right, now I put natures last, but I might just cover this first, then we'll cover EVs, because that's when we're gonna get into real complex stuff. But nature's really straightforward. They'll increase one stat by 10%, decrease another by 10%. For example, in all those screenshots, I used a serious nature, which has no effect on it because the plus and minus 10% in the game's code is on the same stat. So I don't know which one's serious is on. Let's just assume it's attack. It's like, oh, it's giving it plus 10% attack and minus 10% attack, so it evens out to nothing, is the way to work at it, sort of thing.
Right.
If you had something with a timid nature, for example, which is a common nature we use, which is why I can remember it off the top of my head, that's a plus speed minus attack nature. So you'd normally use that for a fast special attacker because you're not worried about the attack stat. So losing 10% attack is not relevant to the Pokemon at all because it's never going to use its attack stat, but 10% more speed is relevant because it's going to be 10% faster than a non-timid one with the same training, basically.
Understood.
Natures are pretty consistent in that we don't usually mess around with weird ones. So like I can rattle off like adamant, timid, jolly, modest, like those are the 4 sort of major ones most people use. Stuff like brave or like bashful and stuff like that, not really used that often. They're like corner case ones and stuff like that. So typically, you don't have to memorize the natures because 9 times out of 10 they don't matter. And the more recent games actually will show you which one's going up and which one's going down. So you don't have to memorize them. Whereas back in like 3rd generation when they first got added, it just said, this is modest nature, and it told you nothing whatsoever to begin with. Yeah, and then they started adding like, ooh, the stat names are in like colors, like one's in red, one's in blue. The red's the one that's going up, and the blue is the one that's going down, which is still the case to this day, to which confuses so many.
The other way around.
No, it's red is up, blue is down. Confuses everybody because it's very Japanese sensibility. It's so weird.
Because, you think red is bad and blue is good.
Yeah, exactly, but no, it's the other way around. Anyway.
Oh, God.
Cool. Effort values. All right, here's where we start opening up the can of worms. This is where we're going to need to go and look at some websites and talk about more in depth.
About the natures.
Yes.
So does the 10% value, say you haven't maxed out your well, I'll just say EV since you really. So does it affect EVs in any way, like the natures?
All right, so here is the formula for calculating a Pokemon stat. Are you ready? Because you're never going to remember it. I do remember it because I'm that much of a grognard and care about the numbers when it comes to Pokemon. But it is 2 times the base stat plus the IVs plus the, in brackets, the number of EVs over 4 multiplied by the level divided by 100, and then all of that is in the set of brackets times 10%.
Well, EVs do affect it. Okay, then my second follow-up question is, it will automatically adjust as you add more EVs, right? It's not like, well, shit,
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So EVs become a bit of an interesting conversation. So as it says, they're gained via gameplay, which is the easiest way to talk about it because there's so many ways of gaining EVs. You can get them from battling specific Pokemon. You can get them from using vitamins. You can get them from using feathers, for example. In games like Scarlet and Violet, where everything in your team gains EXP, when you defeat a Pokemon, everything in your team, if the EVs are not capped, will gain the same EVs from that battle as well.
Oh, what?
So everything in the party, anything that gains EXP from a battle, gains EVs if they're not at cap. So if you're training something and you're wanting to get a Pokemon to 252 EVs in attack, which is the cap, it goes to 255 technically.
Yeah.
But the game stopped actually letting you go past 252 because those last three don't do anything. And we'll come back to that in a sec, which is why I said EVs becomes this complicated conversation. Yeah, the way that works is everything in your party would gain the 2 EVs for defeating, say, what's the attack one? Scyther, I guess, probably still gives 2 attack EVs. It's off the top of my head, I don't know for sure. So everything in the party would get that. So if you had a special attacker in your party you were waiting to EV train later, don't have it in your party when you're EV training for attack because it would gain those attack EVs and you would mess it up and have to reset it basically or catch a new one. So yeah, kind of a pain in the ass.
God damn it. God damn, that sucks.
That said, in older Pokemon games, you used to be unable to use vitamins like protein or HP ups and stuff like that past 100 EVs. So that was 10. Each vitamin gives 10 EVs in that stat.
Oh.
And it used to be capped that if you gave a Pokemon 10 HP ups, it'd go, no, it has no further effect.
No more effect, yeah. I remember.
So you'd have to go and EV train them in the wild. Nowadays, you can just put 26 on, it will cap it at 252, and you just go do nothing else, right? So if you have enough Pokédollars or LP in Scarlet and Violet, you can completely avoid wild Pokemon training whatsoever. And considering there is methods to just farm cash for like very low effort, most people don't even bother doing wild training anymore. I like doing it because I'm nostalgic for it at times, and so I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go and wild train these Pokemon. So I use like the Macho Brace or the power weight and stuff like that to increase the EV gains. We can talk about EV gains and stuff when we have covered like spreads and get to the point where you're actually like talk about training the Pokemon and stuff. Cool. Any questions about any of that?
So in terms of EV, is it only a one-way trip where you can only gain and you can't take away?
Not exactly. I don't
know
if
I
they've
accidentally screwed up and added an EV over the 4 on the Cerulege spread there by accident. Is there a way I can take one out so it goes back down to 4 so I can max out the attack?
So the way that it works is there's berries that you can feed your Pokemon. So like, for example, if you've got a Pokemon from an older game in Pokemon Home, when Pokemon Home access comes to Scarlet and Violet, you wanted to reuse, for example, and its EV spread's no longer good, there's berries that let you feed them to the Pokemon. It'll decrease, I think, the EVs in the specific stat they correspond to by 10. So the opposite of the vitamins. So you'd be able to use that. I know in Sword and Shield, once Pokemon Home came out in the first lot of DLC, they had an NPC on the Armor Island that you could go and talk to, and they were like, oh, do you want to like clean slate this Pokemon? And they'd reset all of its EVs to nothing. So you could start training it over from scratch sort of thing, which was easier than trying to count how many berries you had to feed something and stuff like that, right? So I don't know if they'll do that again for Scarlet and Violet, but yes, like if you mess up EV training, it's not like, oh god, this Pokemon's bricked, I can't use it. You can use those berries and sort of soft reset it and stuff like that if you need to.
Yeah, seems like just taking a quick look, you can only do it with berries and Scarlet Violet.
Yeah, yep. Berries is the only way for now, but that NPC was added in Sword and Shield when the first lot of DLC came out, and we know DLC is coming to Scarlet and Violet, so it might be in that. We don't know yet, obviously, because nothing's really been said about it. Alright, cool.
So far, so good.
Alrighty.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna get deep into this. So this is Pokemon Showdown. It says beta. It said beta the whole entire time I've ever used Pokemon Showdown. Pokemon Showdown's been around for a long time. This is the battle simulator or online, right? So a lot of people will talk about on-card and Showdown as the two major things in the VGC, because if you want to make a Pokemon, you want to test a team and stuff like that, the amount of time it would take for you to catch, bottle cap, or breed if you're interested in breeding Pokemon to get IVs. Usually it's bottle capping is easier these days, so why would you bother if you've got enough bottle caps and money? All the rest of it to get a Pokemon team set up and have all the moves, get all the TMs and everything like that. The amount of effort you'd have to put in on cart to make that happen is hours, right? And if you mess up a team and you test it out and the team's not good, then you've just wasted hours of time. So no one does that to start with. Pokemon Showdown, for anyone who's serious about Pokemon, is where you start.
I see. Also, since you've gotten a lot of bottles,
I'm drinking.
Where are they coming from?
Somebody who was late to class, obviously, trying to sneak in and hydrate me so I don't notice. All right, so this is Pokemon Showdown. You've got all of your different formats here for battling. I won't go through all of these, but you can see like people care
I know
about
the
older
categories,
generations, right? So like you can see here like generation 8 through 4 for doubles. You've got older VGC formats and stuff like that. Majorly we're interested in right now Regulation C, as it's called. So regulations are what they're calling them now. When the season started, they were calling them series. So if it was Series A, Series B, and then they were like, ah yes, it's Pokemon VGC 2023 Series B Season 4 on the ladder or whatever it was. And they were like, oh, this is confusing as fuck. We're going to change it to regulations now.
Oh, God.
So the regulations make more sense, but you might still hear people refer to it as Series C, not Regulation C. So... cool. So this is where I was grabbing all the screenshots. Is we go into what's called the team builder, and you can see here's a couple of teams I had from Series 2. It's still called Series 2 in Showdown. This is the first iteration of the team I made it to Master Ball with. So there's Ceruledge, Great Dusk, Fluttermane, Roaring Moon, Murkrow. Hey, look, it was a Lilligant on that team to begin with. Got switched out for Rotom, Heat eventually, but whatever. Way that this works is you go new team, and then you pick a format you want this to be for, and you can see there's a lot more formats here when you start looking, because you've got all of the previous year's VGCs and stuff like that. If you're interested, like you can go Sword and Shield doubles and go back and play like Sword and Shield VGC back in 2020, 2021, 2022, stuff like that. If you're interested like me and you're like, hey, what was the format I started in, like I can go back and play Generation 4 Ubers and are you in there? No, are you in a different spot? I forget where it is. Anyway, whatever. That's all Smogon sets, the singles.
So just before we go on, so
yes.
The regulation stuff is set by Nintendo, well, the Pokemon company themselves, right?
Correct.
Rules
yeah. So
available.
Yeah, they change what the stuff is themselves. So Regulation A, as it should probably be called now. I think people still call it Series 1. That was the Paldean Pokedex, except no Paradox Pokemon and no Legendary. So no Koraidon, Miraidon, none of the Treasures of Ruin. And if a Pokemon was released in a raid that wasn't in the Paldean National Pokedex, so like Charizard when it was in the raids, it's not legal. You can't use anything in the Charizard line. It was only if it has a Paldean Pokedex number.
Okay.
And then Series 2 was they let the Paradox Pokemon in, which is all of the past and future ones. And then Regulation C, which is the current one, is Regulation 2, except now also the Treasures of Ruin are added, but still no Miraidon and Koraidon. So that's Qianpao, Wo-Qian, Ting-Lu, and Shi-Yu. Yeah, that's 4. I was like, what are their names again?
I don't know, dude. I don't speak Chinese.
Fair enough. Kind of funny that they have Chinese names instead of Brazilian.
Yeah, it's like it's what you doing?
Anyway, yeah. So we'd be building for Regulation C, for example. So the way this works, and this is where we start getting into interesting stuff with Pokemon. Let's take a look at something that's running around a lot in the current meta. Let's look at everyone's favorite dolphin, Halfin. So Showdown's really good in that it will like when you pick a Pokemon, it'll actually show you which abilities it's got, and if it's only got one, it'll just lock to that ability. So like Palafin's only on a 0 to hero, so you don't have to worry about that. It's part of the simulator. Levels up here, gender, Showdown defaults to nothing because most people don't care, but you can actually pick a specific gender if you want. You can make it shiny if you want as well or not. You can change the Terra type in here as well, so that becomes relevant for testing and stuff and actually using the team on Showdown. Most Palafin at the moment is water, so we'll just leave that. Held items and stuff like that. We'll come back to held items, but the stuff that's up in the top section here is the stuff that's popular in the meta that you're looking at. So you can see stuff in here like Assault Vest, Choice Band, Choice Specs, Eviolite, all that sort of thing. Some items, though, you won't see up in here that do get used a lot on that Pokemon, which is why I said we'll come back to held items in a bit, because right now most Palafin are actually hanging on to Mystic Water, which isn't actually in that section, because, you know, increases water type attacks by 1.2%. You can see here the other one that starts with MYS is the Mystery Berry. That's illegal in this format because, well, it's not in Scarlet and Violet, so there'd be no way for you to have that. If someone had it on cart, it would be hacked, so it wouldn't be allowed to compete.
So when you choose Regulation C or whatever category, it will show you what's legal, what's not legal.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go and try and add another Pokemon and we type in Miraidon,
it doesn't even.
Yeah. I can spell illegal there.
Oh,
right?
Well, that's cool. That is very
Yeah. So it won't let you build a team that's not legal. You can go out here and change the format when you're making a team basically to nothing. And also when you make a team, you can hit validate here and it will come up saying like your team is rejected at the moment because you must have at least 4 Pokemon. We've only got 1. Palafin has no moves. It must have at least 1. It has 0 EVs. Did you forget to EV it? Because yeah, add exactly 1 because it won't change the stats, but tell us it wasn't a mistake, because you could choose intentionally to not EV a Pokemon if you wanted to on your team. I don't know why
would you do that?
But you could if you wanted to.
Okay.
Cool. All right, let's jump back into editing this Palafin. So then obviously moves. Showdown's really good in that we'll only show the moves that you actually have, and I do love that it does put down in the bottom section here usually useless moves. It doesn't say that they're always useless, but usually useless. Yeah, like who's using Giga Impact, which user can't move next turn? Who's using Giga Impact on Palafin? Nobody, right? So this is the stuff that most people are using. We'll come back to some of this, but this is just to show you how you might go about building a Pokemon. Then we'll look at why you might build a Pokemon in a specific way and stuff like that in a second. But I know for Palafin, right? We're talking Mystic Water. We're talking Jet Punch. We're talking Wave Crash. Protect, because Protect is key in VGC for anyone who doesn't know why. You're playing doubles in VGC, so having the ability to basically neutralize one of your opponent's Pokemon's entire turn by protecting just basically means that you can just blanket out an entire Pokemon's turn, and that's a huge momentum swing in VGC. So not every Pokemon needs to have Protect, but you should have some Pokemon with Protect on your team because it is a very useful tool for so many reasons.
Does detect works the same way, right? It's just fighting.
Yes, but not everything can learn detect.
Yeah.
So for example, Palafin can't, and not everything that can learn detect can learn protect. And then there's also, when you start talking about protection moves, you've got wide guard, which Palafin can't learn, which is different. So detect and protect both have the thing where prevents moves from affecting the user this turn, but protect always works without fail the first turn you use it, unless the Pokemon's disrupted by something like paralysis or frozen or sleep, or taunt, which doesn't let them use non-attacking moves, or they have an assault vest, in which case that doesn't let them use non-attacking moves either, so they can't protect either. It'll always work the first time you use it, and then every subsequent turn it has a reduced chance. I think it's a 30% chance on the second protect for it to go off, or it might be 50-50. I forget. I think it used to be 50-50. I think it might be 30% now. I'd have to double check that. But if you get a second protect off, if you try and get a third protect in a row, the chance is even lower, right? So protect is 100% accurate the first time, and then decreases for every consecutive turn it is successful. So if you go protect and fail, and then protect on the third turn, it still works perfectly fine. Same with detect. When you start talking about the other protection moves, they don't have that. So you can just spam wide guard every turn, it'll always work, because wide guard only blocks spread moves, which are moves that hit both of the opposing Pokemon.
Oh, I see.
Quick Guard is one of the other ones, but that only blocks priority moves, so like extreme speed, quick attack, stuff like that. Quick Guard will block those. And then there is Crafty Shield, which is Clef Keys, but I forget what exactly it blocks. It might be status attacks. Like, I forget. Hold up, let's go and find out.
There's Spike Shield as well. That's the one I remember.
Spiky Shield is literally just Protect, except it's a grass type Protect right? That damages the attacker, yeah.
Because I remember when I was watching VGC a couple years back, the grass starter.
Chestnut, yeah.
Yeah, he had that, and people are using the shit out of him. I'm like, oh, that's a fancy ass move.
Yeah, so let's see here. What are the equivalent moves? The full list. Because there's a lot of them that have similar effects. Yeah, quick guard, wide guard, and then yeah, like crafty shield and stuff like that. Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm like, what was the point I was trying to make here? I forget now. Yeah, and then obviously with Palafin, fourth attack is a bit of a flex slot. Like you might go something like close combat or haze, or I saw one recently using substitute, which is interesting. I didn't even realize Palafin could learn substitute until I saw it actually in a tournament.
And like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So putting a Palafin behind a substitute, pretty big brain play, because it can't be put to sleep or anything like that as well, because that's how sub works. Really crazy. Cool. Anyway, let's just put substitute on it. And then this is where we get into the interesting part. So you can see here, EVs, it has actually like guessed a spread here, which is one of the things Showdown will do. Typically it's for singles, because as you can see, it says it's a Smogon analysis. Smogon is the forum and site that is where Showdown sort of is attached to, sort of thing. Like Showdown and Smogon are kind of part of the same ecosystem. Showdown's still useful for VGC, lots of people use it for that, but Smogon is more focused on their own formats. So like you'll see down here in the chat rooms, you'll see like overused or underused and stuff like that, which are the tiers that Smogon puts Pokemon into, and you can't use Pokemon from a tier above the one you're playing in, sort of thing. So like stuff that gets banned from overused, which is the most popular tier, goes into what's called Uber's tier, which is where all the legendaries end up every single time, because they are broken, right, in singles. And the metagame between singles and doubles is incredibly different, so we won't even get into it. But a lot of the time, these sorts of spreads are more focused on singles, and you can actually hit the Smogon analysis if you are curious where that goes, and it will take you to the Smogon Dex, as it's called, and actually does go through and has like full breakdowns on why we'd use a Pokemon in that specific way and what formats it's legal in. So if you actually have a look here at VGC 23 Series 2 for Palafin, it does actually have here the common sets and spreads for what you would use it for in VGC as well. Not always, but like a really popular Pokemon like Palafin will be on Smogon. There's a better site for it that we'll come back to later, right? But yeah, so typically you're like looking at stuff for your spreads. So like Palafin, you want it to be fast, so you'd commonly go for like 252 EVs and speed. You want it to hit hard, so you might go 252 into attack. But because when it goes through its transformation, it goes from the zero form to the hero form, it gets a massive increase in its base stats. A lot of people aren't even actually putting in the full 252 on attack anymore. They might be going like 212 into HP or something like that, and then 44 into attack, just to give it a little bit more attack, but making it massively more bulky, especially if you're using like a subset sort of thing with substitute. Because Wave Crash has recoil, this will maximize its time it lasts on the field, and then you go with like, and so here's what I was talking about with natures, where you've got the ones that are positive and negative in the same thing. So like Docile, Hardy, Bashful, they do nothing. Whereas like Adamant, because it's never going to be a special attacker, it's a physical attacker, gives you plus attack minus special attack. So you get the little plus and minus. By the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the drop down menu didn't show when you open it up.
Oh, weird.
Nothing. Yeah, what the fuck? That's weird.
Thanks, OBS, I guess. Anyway.
Blocking out doxing information.
Yeah. And then IV spreads. So I didn't talk about this too much, but if we have a look in here, these are like the basics,
There's a
right?
show, by the way.
Okay. I'll talk through it. So the basics for these, and I'll click on each one. So this is like minimum attack is an IV spread, so it's like 0 IVs in attack.
Oh yeah.
That becomes relevant for special attackers because of 2 reasons. The first one is the move Foul Play, which is a dark type attack. I don't know if you've seen Foul Play very much, but it uses the target's attack stat, not your attack stat. So if you're playing a special attacker that has a really high attack stat because of IVs, right? When they Foul Play into you, it'll do more damage. So you want to have your attack stat down as low as possible because you're not ever using it. So that's why you'd run a minimum attack spread. You've got obviously all at 31, just if you don't care about anything. So like there's nothing that does that on the special attack stat. So having a 31 special attack or having this at like 28, 27, whatever, you don't even care about this IV at all. It's not relevant to this Pokemon. So you could have literally anything in there, you don't care, so long as the rest are all 31. And then your other spreads you've got is minimum speed. So if this was a Pokemon that was very slow, and we'll talk about speed tiers in a second, that'll be the next thing I cover. This is where you would actually, really care about what your speed is, because you want it to be as slow as possible because of Trick Room, because Trick Room makes the slowest Pokemon attack first. So you'd want your Pokemon to be as slow as possible. So you'd have like no EVs, no IVs. That's it. And the only other common spread other than that is a minimum attack, minimum speed one, which is for a special attacker. You want to attack under Trick Room, so you need 2 zeros. And that's actually pretty hard to get. So a lot of the Pokemon you want like 0 IVs on, you're either grabbing a Pokemon, this is like on card if you're actually trying to catch one, you're grabbing a Pokemon that has a speed, like actual speed, not base, with its setup, that is 1 speed faster than the 0 speed IV Pokemon you're trying to catch. So that way, if you know when you do an attack in battle, like False Swipe onto that Pokemon, if your Pokemon goes first, you know that you are exactly that 1 speed faster than that Pokemon you're trying to catch when it's 0 speed. Yeah. So I don't run Trick Room teams very much. I know how to do it, but I don't like running Trick Room teams because it's a lot of extra effort to get your team together. Whereas like my team, let's just jump back. Let's have a look at one of the teams I built. So let's look at the team I was playing for last regulation. You can see like all of these, I don't actually care. Like so Fluttermane here on Showdown's got a 0, but the one I actually got in game, I didn't give a shit. Like it might even have like a 15 or whatever, but I don't really care because it's not relevant that often, so I didn't really care about what it was, sort of thing. And I'm not running anything with like no speed IV, so it was like, and my team was all shiny on cards, so it's like, oh yeah, I just catch the shiny, whatever IVs it's got, because they're set when it's caught, cool, I just go and bottle cap them all to 31 and don't worry about it. Not that I try and make all of my teams all shiny, but if you're trying to do that, then it's, hey, you want a shiny Pokemon with a 0 IV and speed? Good fucking luck, right? That's a lot of work.
It's a big RNG, right?
Yeah, depending on what game you're playing. Because then I won't go down the rabbit hole, but in some of the older games, even in Sword and Shield, there's RNG manipulation, where if you know what the RNG seed is and you know what your like IDs and stuff are, you can manipulate Pokemon to have very specific IVs and also be shiny in certain situations. It's like a whole other thing. So yeah. A lot of math, a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's not... I don't have a problem with people RNG manipulating Pokemon as much as I have a problem with people hacking or generating Pokemon, which I also won't get into that whole entire debate about it, because basically people will just go, I'm just going to create my 6 Pokemon. Bam, my team's done. They don't train them. They don't do anything. They just test it. They go, cool, this works. They go and generate their Pokemon and they're done. It's like, that kind of takes part of the fun out of it. On older versions of the game, training up and breeding teams was... oh my god, it was a pain in the ass. 6th generation in X and Y, I have so many Doublades in my Pokemon home from just breeding for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours for a minimum speed Doublade. what's the default one called? Hone Edge to get a minimum speed Aegis Slash, because it was relevant in competitive because of the fact that it wanted to go last in combat, because Aegis Slash would transform from shield form to sword form whenever it attacked, and back to shield form whenever it used a defensive move. And so in shield form, it had higher defensive stats, and in sword form, it lost those defensive stats to get higher attacking stats. So if you were the slowest in the turn, you would take the hit on your higher defensive stats and then change to attack mode to do more damage. And then at the start of the next turn, you would use Protect, or in this case, King's Shield, which is one of its signature moves. That is essentially Protect, except the Pokemon, if it hits with a physical contacting move, it gets a 1-stage attack drop. So you would do that basically. So it'd be in shield form, take the hit against its higher defenses, switch to sword form, attack and deal damage, start of the next turn. King's Shield, which is a priority move, meaning it would go back into shield form, put up the protect, and then your next turn would be in shield form to take the attacks when you attacked back. So yeah, like one of the only times I 100% specifically wanted a 0 speed Pokemon, and that was such a fucking pain in the ass to breed, let me tell you, back in the day. Whole nother thing these days. It's one of the things that a lot of the people in the competitive Pokemon community have asked for, is what we call Rusty bottle caps, is the nickname most people say for it, which is we want a way to set an EV to 0 instead of 31, because then we could use Trick Room way more often without so much hassle. Because if you wanted to catch Tinglu, which is a Pokemon at the moment that would be relevant in Trick Room, and you want it to be 0 speed, good luck if you've already caught it in your game to get like the shiny charm like I have or something like that, because now you're screwed, right? You'd have to reset your save over or have another copy of the game just to catch that 0 speed Tinglu for your competitive team, or have a friend that has a copy of the game that hasn't caught Tinglu so they can catch the 0 speed one for you, sort of thing. It's just like, when it comes to legendaries, having 0 speed legendaries is like, that's a whole massive pain in the ass that we don't want to deal with. So
good thing I haven't caught it yet.
If you wanted to play Trick Room, cool.
If I wanted to, yeah. But man, I know it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yeah. Having friends that also play, really, really good, because then you can get Pokemon they have lying around and be like, hey, do you have a Pokemon like 5 IVs for this one? And then you have someone like me who's like, yes, I have 3 boxes full of Pokemon I've just caught from raids that'll have 531 IVs. Which one do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Because I just enjoy Terra raids, so I've done way too many of them. Okay, that is the wrong site. I got all of my web pages open and then completely forgot to open one that I needed. So I'm just like, hang on, what's that site called again? Anyway, any questions about anything with Showdown there while I'm just getting this page loaded up?
Showdown, it seems pretty straightforward. Like it doesn't seem like it's much difficult to get started on.
It's not particularly. The trick comes down to like knowing what you actually want to build and test out, right? Like if you're not sure of what it is you're trying to try and make, then that's when it becomes a bit confusing. I will come back to it in a second because it'll be relevant when we come around to how do we use other people's teams, which is something I'll cover
right?
Because it gives you some options for rental codes and stuff like that for other things. Yeah. All right. So, speed tiers. This is something I kind of alluded to before. So this is where we start talking about like what is a Pokemon good at, right? Like, so I said Ceruledge is like average speed. So if we go down here and find Ceruledge, I think it's like 85. Yeah, there it is at 85, right? So if we have a look at this list, I'll come back and we'll go through it a bit faster in a second. You can see it's like in about the center sort of thing. What was that?
Speed list, faster.
Yeah, so, you know, everything at this tier at 85, if they had no speed investment, because that's the base speed at 85, if you sent out your Ceruledge and there was a Heracross on the other side of the field and you're like, my Ceruledge has no speed investment, and the Heracross went first, you'd be like, some of their EVs are spent on speed because it's faster. And then if you attacked on the next turn and your Ceruledge went first and the Heracross went slower than you, you'd be like, oh, actually neither of them have speed investment, because if the speed ties, it just basically flips a coin and one of them goes first.
Yeah, because I'm watching a couple people just shit around online. They'll be like, oh yeah, I lost the speed tie. I'm like,
yep.
So that's a thing.
Yeah, and so over here you've got, this is the highest speed it could reach. So if you have a look at this, this is max, mid, and minimum. So minimum is 81, not the base 85, because this is a no EV, zero IV, minus speed nature, right? So this is the slowest a Cerulean Edge could possibly go. This is a plus speed nature, 252 EV, 31 IV in speed. Cerulean Edge gets up to a maximum of 150. And why this becomes relevant is if your Cerulean Edge is 150 speed and you're fighting a Mimikyu with no speed investment or like minimum speed investment, it's 116. You know Cerulean Edge at 150 is faster. It will always go first in combat. Unless, of course, Trick Room is up, in which case the 116 would go first. So when you're trying to like pick Pokemon, so a great example, Electrode is the fastest Pokemon in the format.
What?
Yeah, Electrode's incredibly fast. It's always been a 150 base speed. The rest of its stats, because of its 150 base speed, are bad. Because Pokemon will have sort of a base stat total, or BST, they talk about. And when you hear people talk about pseudo legendaries is what they're called. They're not legendaries for the generation that they're actually in, but there's been one in every generation that's been like, oh, this Pokemon has a stat total getting near 600, which the 600 base stat total as sort of the cutoff for legendaries is Mew, right? And people go, what do you mean Mew's like the 600 base stat total? Mew has a perfect 100 in every stat as its base, right? Mew can literally do whatever you want. You want to train it to be really bulky? You kind of can. You want to train it to be a special attacker? You kind of can. It doesn't excel at anything. It's just completely average across the board at 100. But a Pokemon that's not a legendary might only have a base stat total of 420, which means it's 180 stats just by default worse than Mew is across the board.
Right.
So like Electrode has a 150, but if we go back to Showdown real quick and we bring up our Regulation C team and we go add Pokemon and we add an Electrode, you'll notice it's only got a 490 base stat total. If we go over here, so its speed is 150, but the rest of its stats are really bad, and it's incredibly squishy with only a 60 HP, right? So speed tiers become relevant because, okay, your Dragapult's going to be faster than most other things in the meta just because it's based at of 142. A mid speed one is 162, which means it's faster than an uninvested Electrode, but it's also faster than a lot of stuff at sort of max investment. So 162 is faster than everything from here down, right? So it's faster than a max speed Arcanine or a max speed Pachirisu. You know, it's only not faster than something like a Mimikyu and stuff like that. So you can go, cool, I don't need to give my Dragapult a huge amount of speed because I know that the biggest thing I'm worried about threatening it is Hawlucha. Not really that Hawlucha is, but say that was what you're worried about. I only need to invest enough speed to get it above 187, and Hawlucha will never threaten my Dragapult, right?
I see.
So that's how you work out speed stuff. That's why this page is really good, the speed tiers page here on Victory Road, which is a great website. It's got so many resources and stuff on it. But yeah, so it takes into account everything that's relevant. So you can see up here, when we talk about Treasures of Ruin and stuff like that, Chiempao is really fast, which is why people like it. And also Fluttermane, which is why Fluttermane is everything. It's really fast as well. And as Axie just said, this is where we get into the meta, and this is where stuff starts to get a bit more complicated. So I'll take a pause here so I can drink some water because my throat's getting a bit dry, and just have you got any questions?
I'm gonna grab some water first, then, if you're gonna take a...
no worries.
Yep.
So hi Kai, hi Rao. I don't know if Rao's still lurking, but I'll do those squats and push-ups real quick as well. Oh boy. Oh, competitive Pokemon. How's everyone doing? 10-month resub from Kai. You'll love to see it. Oh, This is a bit of an Avros flexes his knowledge stream. Been doing this for a long time. Alright. See if HJ's got any questions when they get back. And if not, then we'll get moving on into the meta. And this is where we're going to get actually into the really interesting stuff. Oh, right, that was the other thing I forgot to mention about speed. Damn it. I knew I forgot something. It's only been 55 minutes. I am slamming HJ with knowledge at this point. I thought I'd been going for like an hour and a half already. There's the classic. There's the Smogon bird up at 126 base speed. It's why this thing is such a terror, right? Like 195 max speed and Gale Wings, which gave all flying type moves a used priority before they nerfed Gale Wings to only be priority if it's at maximum HP. This thing with Brave Bird, when Gale Wings worked the old way, was actually legitimately terrifying. I mean, it's still scary now, but it's less scary. Also, people underestimate just how fast that guy is. Because Yaskarada is absurd as far as the starters for this generation go. It's incredibly fast. The other starters, obviously, Quick Wave, I think, is an 86 or around there. And I think for Coco, I can't think of its Final Evolution's name now off the top of my head, is pretty slow. No, Quick Wave was 85. And Skelly Dirge, yep, thank you. I think it's like 60 something? Yeah, 66. Speeds. Alright. Yes, this is all fully evolved because it doesn't care about unevolved. Except I think in a few. Does it actually have Murkrow in here? Doesn't. Interesting. Interesting. Pokemon Home compatibility, which isn't available yet, so there's nothing there from home just yet. And poor little pinch urchin. Welcome back. I forgot something when we're talking about speed.
Oh dear.
Did you have any questions first before I get into that? We can carry on?
Does this mean some of the Pokemon that are likely useless are this slow? Oh, sorry, in the middle of the pack.
No. So, and this is where I'm about to move to, which is sort of talking about the meta and how you work out what Pokemon are meta and how like to build them and stuff like that. But something that's like down the middle. So, for example, Ceruledge Edge is seeing massive use. Golden Go has had people calling it broken since Series A sort of thing. Gyarados has been a terror since sort of 4th generation. Dragonite's been all over the place currently in the current meta. Gardevoir's been good in the past, not so much at the moment. Armarouge is like down here, it's everywhere as well. And this is like middle of the pack speed. Great Task, actually, I was trying to look for a Baxcalibur, both 87. And they're on like championship teams at the moment, sort of thing. Just because the speed is in the middle, typically means their other stats are really, really strong. So Great Tusk isn't necessarily very fast. It's a very mid-speed Pokemon, but holy shit does it have a big attack stat. So let's have a look at Great Tusk while we're talking about it. So Great Tusk has a base speed of 87, but it has a base attack of 131, right? So this thing is a powerhouse with lots of HP and a good defense stat. And this is the one I was using with the Assault Vest on it. You can see this thing, we invested a lot into defenses, like 105 with the defense investment, 252 to get that up. And then the Assault Vest actually adds 50% more special defense, but it can't use any non-attacking moves. So that 105, sorry, is actually 157 because of rounding. Yeah. So it's got a 151 defense and a 157 special defense with 191 HP. This thing's just tanking hits all day and hitting back really hard with that 201 attack.
Jesus.
We also went with a minus speed nature to make it even slower, because that made it slower than, this isn't on purpose, the Cerule Edge that we had, so that if, because at the time, Indeedee Armor Rouge was a really popular lead, and the Indeedee would use Follow Me to draw attacks away so that Armor Rouge could use Trick Room and try and shaft you. You'll notice this Cerule Edge's Terra Bug with X Scissor, and with this exact stat investment, it was strong enough to one-shot a Indeedee with Terra Bug X Scissor, and then if the Indeedee went down to the one-shot, Great Tusk with Headlong Rush with this investment was enough to one-shot the Armor Rouge. So that was 2 Pokemon down right from the first turn. A maneuver that both Axie and I tried to pull off numerous times in actual play, and only one of us ever pulled off a single time, and that was Axie in a match where he actually completely demolished this guy by taking out both of his openers on the first turn.
Ooh. Ooh, that must have been fucking, like, the guy must have been fucking, like, devastated. Like, holy fuck.
I don't know how you don't go on tilt at that point. It's like so incredible. It's like you're up 4 Pokemon to 2, and all you've done is take a bit of defense drops, because Headlong Rush drops your defense and special defense by 1 on the Great Tusk, and Terra Bug seems really bad on Cerule Edge until you realize its ability Flash Fire makes it that if it gets hit by a fire move, its next fire attacks do 1.5 times damage, and also it's completely immune to fire. So that bug typing, cool. It was already weak to rock moves because it's already a fire type, so it didn't change anything. If you try and hit it with fire, it just goes, cool, you made me stronger.
But isn't there more defense? Like, isn't it more resistant to everything else though if you have bug outside of that?
Yes, yeah, so bug not really the Terra type of choice on Cerule Edge anymore. It wasn't even when we did it. We did it specifically for that one matchup, which was a matchup that we knew our team would be weak into, so did that on purpose as a strategic maneuver. Cerule Edge these days would either be Steel or Grass, which gives it other benefits while getting it out of the weaknesses Fire and Ghost has, while still retaining the benefit of the Flash Fire, making the Psychic strong. Sorry, the Terra type strong against fire, because Steel's also weak to fire, as is Grass. Steel gets you out of being weak to Ghost type moves and Dark type moves. Yeah, Dark type moves. So. As well as not being weak to Rock, which is good against fire. As well as not being weak to Water, which is good against fire. But without, losing anything because of Flash Fire. And Grass does something similar, but also makes you immune to Spore and Rage Powder, because Grass types are just by default immune to Spore and Rage Powder, which is this weird like corner case thing that you have to keep track of. So like Dark type Pokemon are immune to status moves from a Prankster Pokemon. So for example, Prankster on Murkrow has this ability that means that its status moves have the priority raised by 1. So like Taunt would go before like Swords Dance or something like that, or before Trick Room, because it would get priority raised by 1 like a Quick Attack would, but it makes Dark types immune to all of your status moves that you'd use. So a Dark type is immune to Prankster status moves. Grass types are immune to powder moves, so you're immune to stuff like Sleep Powder, Spore, Rage Powder, stuff like that. Electric types are immune to paralysis. An electric type Pokemon cannot be paralyzed by anything, stuff like that. So
jeez. I mean, I do like the little niches they added with the typings, because they, you got to think more now, but man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Don't worry about it too much. Like the stuff that is relevant, like Grass types being immune to Spore and stuff like that, those ones you'll know all the time, because they're the ones that are always relevant. Stuff like Dark types are immune to Prankster moves. Unless Prankster's in the meta, you don't need to know. And Murkrow's kind of like fallen out of favor, so it's not typically relevant, so not something you need to keep track of.
Fair enough, fair enough.
All right, let's talk about the meta.
Oh.
This is going to be pretty quick. So this is a Cycle Poker Stats. This pulls information from VGC Series 3. You can look at it like daily, weekly, monthly. This is pulled from everything that's going on in Pokemon Showdown right now. So these are actually pulled from live match data in Pokemon Showdown. So you can see usage percentage for every Pokemon. You can see Fluttermane's used a bunch. You can see Moongus is being used a bunch. You can also see the win rate in Showdown matches. You can see in the bring 6, pick 4, how much the Pokemon's actually being picked to come into the fight, not just be on the team.
Means OP.
Yeah, Fluttermane is the most used Pokemon currently in Regulation C. Like, it is everywhere.
So if you don't have one, you're sort of missing out, aren't you?
Yeah, so Fluttermane is only in Pokemon Scarlet because it's a past Paradox Pokemon. So hopefully you know somebody who has a copy of Pokemon Scarlet if you want to play.
Only if my fucking sister would actually play the game.
Axie has Scarlet, I've got Violet. So if you ever need any of the Paradox ones that you don't have, just let us know.
I've got a couple. I've got someone in my static though, so I'm gonna hit them up. Should be easy enough.
Yeah. So this is really good just for like a big picture view of what's currently running around and stuff like that. But my favorite site for this sort of information is this site here, which is called Peakalytics. So
what? Peakalytics? What a name.
Yeah, as in like Pikachu Analytics. So Peakalytics also shows the Showdown stats. So you can see here Fluttermane, 66.11% of all matches in Showdown. It's being in teams. You can also filter this based on the Showdown ranking. So if you play ranked on Showdown, it actually has like an elo system. So if you click on 1760 plus, which is like the top of the ladder, you can actually filter this. You can see, yeah, Fluttermane still at the same usage rate, no matter what you sort of go to. It actually like gets a little bit less used down to the bottom end because the only people still in those brackets at this point in Regulation C are the people with off-meta teams. So like at 1500, which is about average elo, everyone starts at 1000 and 1500 is about the average. If you're below 1500, you're not typically very good, or you're learning, right? You can see it's 54.6, and then when you get above 1630, which is about the good cutoff, you can see it just jumps up, right? A shitload.
Jesus.
Hi, Nyan, how you doing?
Jesus fucking Christ.
So why is Fluttermane so good? Cool, let's have a quick chat about why Fluttermane's so good. See these three stats here? Special attack, special defense, speed. 135 across the board. It is incredibly fast, incredibly resistant to special attacks, and hits incredibly hard with special attacks. The trade-off being, it has terrible HP, terrible defense, and a terrible attack stat that you're never going to use. So this one does not matter. These two, on the other hand, HP and defense, you can train it to be more tanky if you want, or you can train it to be basically a glass cannon, make it even faster and even stronger, and then just have it hit really fucking hard.
Really hard, really fast, and hope it takes it out before it gets taken out.
Correct. And this is where we start looking at, okay, what's the meta? So this is why I like Peakalytics, is it actually shows you what people are using as far as the items are on Showdown, the percentage. So Choice Specs increases the special attack stat by 50%, basically, or the damage of this whatever special attack you use by 50%, however you want to measure it. But it locks you into whatever move you're using until the Pokemon is switched out of combat. So this just makes you take advantage of that really high special attack, but you can't ever like use Protect or anything like that. You're just going, it is full glass cannon. I'm gonna blast the shit out of my opponent's Pokemon and just knock them off the board really fast. That's what you go for Choice Specs for. The other glass cannon usage here is this Focus Sash item, which for anyone who doesn't know, when the Pokemon is at, I think it's full HP,
That's
through
full
the Focus
HP.
Sash. If it gets hit down to 1 HP left, sorry, if it would die from an attack, it gets left at 1 HP, but when the Focus Sash makes it hold on, the next time it takes damage, it will die, basically. Life Orb is a slightly underpowered version of the Choice Specs. It only increases the damage by 30%, but makes all of the moves drain your HP, but you can actually use other options. So you can still use Protect and other stuff like that, which is why that's getting used. Booster Energy is unique to all of the Paradox Pokemon. It gives them a stat increase by 30% if their highest stat is anything other than speed. So if your attack, defense, special attack, or special defense is your highest stat, it'll give it a 30% boost. If speed is the highest, it's a 50% boost, and that happens once when it comes into combat. So that's why people are using that, because it's a Paradox Mon. And then other is off meta 2%, basically. Still with me so far?
Yep.
Cool. Other thing that this lets us look at is what are people using as far as move selection is and what percentage they are. So Fluttermane being a Ghost Fairy type, its most populous move is Shadow Ball at 93.6% of Pokemon have it as one of its 4 moves because it doesn't learn anything else that's a good Ghost move.
Oh, Shadow Ball is essentially the only option you got.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and why would you want a Ghost move? Well, because of the same type attack bonus. Yeah, stab, which is a 50% increase to the move if it shares a type with the Pokemon using it. Also, why Dazzling Gleam and Moonblast are both here. Why are there two fairy moves up near the top? Well, Dazzling Gleam is a spread fairy move, so it has slightly lower power than Moonblast, but hits both of your opponent's targets, which also means that it gets half damage on both targets. If there's only one Pokemon remaining, it hits the one remaining Pokemon for full damage. So that's something to keep in mind, is if you do use a spread move, it only does half the damage to each target that it would normally do. And Moonblast is just 90 power single target fairy move, so a lot of Fluttermane are actually just running these top 4 moves when you see them in tournaments. Like, they'll have Shadow Ball, both Dazzling Gleam, and Moonblast, and then Protect. Or if they have choice specs, they might have something like Power Gem if you're worried about flying types, or Thunderbolt if you're worried about water, or Psyshock if you're worried about poison, so on and so forth. A few are running Icy Wind as an off meta, because while it hits very low damage and is spread, it does also always drop the speed. Yeah, exactly. Perish Song is for Perish Trap. We'll cover weird off meta team choices later, but yeah, that's there for a specific use. The other reason why Pikalytics is really good is this section here called Teammates. So this actually shows you what are people using with this Pokemon. So say there's a Pokemon you're like interested in using. Fluttermane's a great example because we're already looking at it. You can look down here and say, okay, what are other people using on teams with it? Chiyu is its most common partner, and then Amoonguss, Tinglu, Dragonite, Gym Power, so on and so forth. Down shows pretty much the top 10 Pokemon people using with that one. So you can look at that and start going, okay, we can start putting a team together here. Let's go to Fluttermane and Amoonguss. Okay, what are people using with Fluttermane and Amoonguss? And then you can go and look at Amoonguss and go, people are using Arcanine. Okay, so we've got Fluttermane, Amoonguss, Arcanine. What are people using with Arcanine? Oh, Palafin, which also showed up under Amoonguss, which also showed up under Fluttermane, right? And then you can go, oh, cool, let's start putting a team together.
Oh.
That's why this site is incredibly good. The other thing, seeing as we've been looking at Pokemon Showdown over here, PS, you can also look at Switch. This shows tournament results. So this is taking results from actual like tournaments like the EUIC or the OCIC and stuff like that and putting them in number order. So you can see Fluttermane still the most used Pokemon in the format right now. Fluttermane is, I cannot stress this enough.
I don't think it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away, is it?
Fluttermane in solo, in single battles, is in Uber's tier. It is that strong, right?
Wait,
that 135 speed and special attack, it is legitimately a ridiculous force to be reckoned with. Because in solos, in singles, right, you don't have the threat of another Pokemon that you didn't KO attacking into you. All you have to do is worry about the Pokemon right in front of you and kill it. Yeah. As long as Fluttermane can one-shot the Pokemon in front of it the whole way through the battle, you can't stop it. So they went, no, fuck off, go to Ubers. It is legitimately really good. I don't know if it's good enough to start being called broken yet. There's only one Pokemon in the format that I would consider actively broken, and it's this guy down here, Tinglu. Not for the reasons a lot of people think. It is way too bulky. Like, it doesn't necessarily hit very hard, but these defensive stats are fucking stupid because its ability, Vessel of Ruin, drops the special attack, I think it is, or attack of all Pokemon in combat by 30% or whatever. So it just basically makes itself more tanky and really hard to get off the field. And then if you're running that Assault Vest, which is giving you the 50% increase in special defense, that 80 is now 120 untrained base special defense. So now it's got 130 defense, 120 special defense, and 155 HP. Yeah, that's really hard to get off the board.
What the fuck?
Yeah, Tinglu is actually stupid. And just while we're talking about Tinglu, just to cover off the most common strat that's going around with it at the moment, you'll see here, Fissure at a 48% usage. Fissure is a move with 30% accuracy. That is a 30% chance that the move hits, right? But if it hits, it's a one-hit KO. So that's that, you know, you might go, well, that's less than a coin flip to get a guaranteed kill, unless they're immune to ground moves, like if they're a flying type or have levitate, you can't ever hit them with Fissure, right? You might think, well, 30% is not worth taking the gamble on. Why is it so high? This move right here.
Yep.
Stomping Tantrum is a 75 power, 100% accurate ground type single target attack. That doubles its base power from 75 to 150 if your previous move didn't miss failed. So if you use Fissure and you miss on that 30% chance to hit, your Stomping Tantrum on your next turn is doing double damage. So that's the same as if you just hit the Stomping Tantrum button both turns. But the upside is that if you do hit with the Fissure on the first turn, well, you don't get the double damage on the Stomping Tantrum, but you one-shot their Pokemon no matter how tanky it is.
So, Fissure will always show up as it failed, right? Never miss.
Yep, it'll just say that, but the move failed. It also counts as if the move missed. So if you used a Stomping Tantrum on a Ting-Lu and your opponent's Pokemon protected, and the Stomping Tantrum hit protect, right?
Yeah.
Then your next Stomping Tantrum still gets double damage because the move
what?
failed, right? If the Stomping Tantrum doesn't deal damage, or your move doesn't deal damage at all, your next Stomping Tantrum deals double damage.
That's stupid.
Yep. So this thing just runs around with Fissure and this and hits like a goddamn truck and sits on the board not being able to get removed. And then Heavy Slam is here as a steel move to deal with like fairies because it's its dark typing and fairies are weak to steel. And then Ruination is literally Super Fang except the dark type Super Fang.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, Ting-Lu is actually fucking absurd, right? Like this Pokemon is actually probably broken because there's people running around without Fissure on it that are just running Ruination instead with still Stomping Tantrum because Ruination only has a 90 accuracy, which means if you fail to hit your move that halves the Pokemon's current HP, you still get the double damage on Stomping Tantrum next turn anyway. Is dumb and I don't like it. But anyway. Cool, so now we know how to check the meta. Now we know how to look at what's going on. How do we build a team? Well, a couple of different ways. One way is you can just go to the Pikalytics team builder. Here's a team I made earlier, which is literally just a random team I put together for fun. But yeah, you can actually just go in here and just go like new team, right? Go, we want Series C. There's a Series C team I made that I was messing around with. This is half the Pokemon don't even have moves on them. Anyway, your team. And then you can, like, it'll pop up with suggestions. And usually these will be in like the top 5 most common, but say there was a Pokemon you want to use. Say you wanted to use Ceruledge Edge, for example. You can just put that in. And then it will actually give you suggestions amongst its most common partners up the top here as well, which is really cool. So we could go, cool. We got Ceruledge Edge, we want a Gyarados, we want Moongus, we want...
You can't not have Fluttermane.
We want Fluttermane, and we want... We already got a wild type, so don't need Powerfin. Let's go Glabora. Bam, there you go. Got a 6 Pokemon team already. And then from here you can just go items. What are people running on Ceruledge Edge? What 9% of people are running Clear Amulet? Sure, let's go Clear Amulet. Let's go to abilities. Most people are running Flash Fire, so we'll go with that. And like if you really just wanted to do build by committee, you could literally just do this, right? There you go. The Ceruledge Edge is done. Apart from like the EV spread. Yeah. But this even has that, so you can click on meta spreads.
Oh, wow.
Go down here, and here's the most commonly used meta spreads on it, and go, yeah, sure, Hasty Nature with that spread. Bam, done. And then even better, if you wanted to go and test this in Showdown later, you can just go export to Showdown.
Oh,
there's all the stuff.
Wow.
And this is what I was talking about, like I'd show you how you like move Pokemon in. So like, for example, if we copy this, and you can copy this whole team if we built a whole team. You can go over here, and we can go to our Series C team we're putting together and go add Pokemon, and then go import, and then we go Control V, save, and there's that Ceruledge we just made.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yep, and then when you've got a full team like that, you can go out and just go and test it, right? Straight up. So building Pokemon can be very, very straightforward, and something like Pikalytics can let you just put stuff together to mess around with really fast just by going, what is the meta using and stuff like that, and look at it. But say you don't really want to use the meta spread, so like this is just attack and speed. So when we look at the one I was talking about earlier, it's got like defense. We made this thing tanky. We made it survive stuff for a specific reason. How do you work that out? All right, now we're gonna get into the real weird and complicated stuff.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
Welcome to the Pokemon damage calculator.
Oh my, what the fuck?
So this looks complicated as hell, but it's really, really straightforward once you get used to it. So say we're looking at Ceruledge Edge, right? This will have common sets from Showdown, as well as from what's going on in the meta right now. So you can see bulk up set. It'll do all of the spreads. It'll put all of the items. It does all the moves. You know, that's all fine. You can just do that. if you want to go for like a blank set, you can hit blank. It'll give you full control over what you want. And then the way it works is, so let's say we've just got the default. So let's just go bulk up set. We know what it's all happening. We know what's going on. And say we're worried about it dying to Great Tusk.
Tinglu.
Well, let's go with something I kind of know how to calculate a bit better. Let's look at a Life Orb Great Tusk, which is pretty common going around at the moment. We can see all the moves here, and then we go, cool. We hit add to table over here. So this is the Pokemon you're wanting to calculate for. Right. This calculator lets us add multiple Pokemon, which is why I'm using this one. So we want to see what Great Tusk can do against it with the common set. If we hit add to table, you'll see over here in the center. So our Pokemon with Bitter Blade, so the, oh, I just removed it. Yeah, so with Bitter Blade on that Ceruledge, it will do 34.5 to 40.8% HP. So every attack is a damage roll in Pokemon. A move will do anywhere between 80% of its total damage to 100% whenever you roll, and then obviously if it crits, it does 50% more damage.
I think so.
Is it double damage or 50%? I think it's 50% more damage. I can never remember because I never calc for crits because, I mean, yeah, 50% more damage. You can actually calc for crit, so you can hit crit down here to make a move a crit to see what it is. But yeah, you can see here, guaranteed 3-hit KO because it's doing 34 to 40. If it hits 3 times at 40, it's 120%. It's guaranteed to KO the Great Tusk in 3 hits. If we click this little thing up here from attacking to switch it to defending, we can see Great Tusk has 2 moves.
Ow.
That's definitely going to 1-hit KO that Ceruledge. So this Ceruledge is a bad matchup into Great Tusk, right? And so you want to add in other stuff, so let's go ahead and add, yeah, I didn't think that I have sets for these just yet. I think Tinglu doesn't have one either in this site, which is why I didn't want to use it. Blank set. Let's say Palafin. So Mystic Water Haze, Palafin, we can add that to the table. You can see Palafin's got a guaranteed 2-hit KO with Jet Punch, Burst Jet, you know, and we've got really nothing back against it sort of thing. So you can add multiple of them in and see what's good against your team. So you can add in a bunch of common threats, put your Pokemon in over here and check what the matchups are like. So yeah, that's sort of what you can do. And then if you're like interested in trying to make something to survive something, so used to be 2 times damage to generation 5. I thought that was the case, Razor, thank you. Yeah, so see how this is like a guaranteed 1-hit KO 108 to 130. So if we go ahead and go, let's go 0 attack and 252 defense. Okay, now it's a 6.3% chance to 1-hit KO.
Oh no, okay. Okay.
So we know with Ceruledge, right, that's not going to ever necessarily be able to survive a Great Tusk attack. So changing the EVs on that one to make it survive a Great Tusk attack is not great, but we do know it's got Terra-type Grass, so if we hit Terrastal down here, it'll change it to if it's Terrastalized, and we can see, oh, when it becomes a Grass type, it's got a much better matchup against Great Tusk. You'll also see Close Combat comes in here, because before when it's normal typing, it's Ghost, it can't ever be hit by Close Combat, so it just disregarded that in the calculations entirely.
So it will add whatever moves that it can be, like it will affect.
Correct. What it can actually be.
It will show, yeah. Okay.
And then also you've got stuff down the bottom here you can change, so you could add stuff like Friend Guard. Like you've got a mouse hole with Friend Guard in, you'll see it drops the damage because that drops the damage that the Pokemon takes is by 50% of Friend Guards in, or you can put up like Reflect and Light Screen to drop the damage it would take, or you can put up things like, say it's in Sun and there's grassy terrain up, so ground type moves get dropped in grassy terrain, so you know 7-hit KO after the grassy terrain because it also recovers HP, and Sun means your fire moves do more damage, so you can see 95.7% chance of a 2-hit KO after grassy terrain with Bitter Blade because it does more damage and stuff like that. So you can mess around with stuff that your team has down the bottom here as well, or you can put in like the Pokemon Vessel of Ruin Pokemon here, so like if there was a Tinglu on the field sort of thing, which is dropping special attack, you can see how that affects things, and yeah.
Can you add status effects like Toxic or Poison or Burn?
I don't
like to check that.
think you can. Oh yeah, you can up here, right? So like you can put like Badly Poisoned for Toxic, right? This does 1/16th, or you can put like Paralyzed, which means the speed drops because Paralyzed drops the speed by 1/4 sort of thing. So you can do all that math here as well if you need to, yeah. You can also put like stat boosts. So this is a bulk up set. So if it's used bulk up one time, it would have increased defense by 1 stage, increased attack by 1 stage. So you can see here that actually affects the cards as well.
Wow.
Yeah, or if we had, say, Swords Dance on this thing instead, it would have a 2-stage attack increase, so you can see the numbers change as well. So you can do that. And then say we had it under Sun, you know, Bitter Blade's now 1-hit KO, even on the water type, because, you know, 50% chance of 1-hit KO. Because it has a chance of rolling 107.3, because Sun and a 2-stage attack boost is a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is why this is really good. This is on the Nimbasa City Post is really good. And this is a good way of like messing around and putting your Pokemon up against like really common stuff. But there is another way of calculating good defensive spreads for a Pokemon. So if you're trying to make a Pokemon really defensively minded, not necessarily worrying about its attack, there's this little thing called the effort value optimizer.
Oh boy.
The way this works is you pick a Pokemon, you pick how much available EVs are left for going into defense. So for example, let's stick with Ceruledge, right? We got a Ceruledge, we want 252 attack EVs, right? Like we want this thing to do as much damage as it possibly can, which means we have half of the EVs left, 256, left to go into defensive stats. And we know we're worried about it being hit more by, say, physical attacks, right? So we want more of a bias towards physical, so 69, nice, because we're expecting 2/3 of the meta to be sort of more attacks more than special attacks. Instead of this, we go, it doesn't have like Assault Vest or Eviolite on to give it more special defense. Its ability doesn't give it any more special defense here. We can hit Optimize EVs, and it will tell us we want to put HP 252, nothing in defense, and 4 into special defense. I will say, optimizing defenses on Pokemon, unless you know for sure and for certain that you're definitely going to be hit more by a like attack or a special attack, your best investment for defensive bulk is HP, because the higher your HP is, doesn't matter what you get hit by, you've got a better chance of surviving the attack. So you'll notice, like, even if we move this to like 100% bias on defense and hit optimize, it still won't tell us to put anything in defense, right? Because it doesn't matter, right? We know 100% of the time we're going to get hit by sorry, I've moved this to special defense, so it's saying, yeah, put all your stuff into special defense and then HP, never put anything in defense. And if we do it the other way around, it'll tell us the same sort of thing, right? Put as much into defense as possible. Whereas if you put it like right dead center, so like 50% either way, 50, nope, can't change that. There we go. And we can optimize it, it'll tell us put as much as you can into HP, right? Because HP is always relevant.
Raw numbers, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So unless you're trying to live a very specific attack that you're worried about, this is your basic one. If you're trying to live like a earthquake, for example, from that Great Tusk Life Orb, and you're like, okay, we're not terastallized, it's like 1-hit KO, then that's when you kind of go, okay, well, how do I need to put my stats in? And if you can't get it there, then that's when you start running that defensive terastallization, stuff like that.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
So, any questions about all of that so far?
How many websites do you have?
We got one more.
Oh, okay. No, so far it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so the fun part about all of this is 90% of what we've gone through right now are only relevant if you like building teams for yourself, right? If you're like content to just go, I want to use a Flutter main and I want to use just what everyone else is using, you could just come here, you could just grab all of the most common stuff, you could just go bam, 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 that spread, that item, cool, we're done. I've got a Choice Specs, Timid one. If you did that, though, you'd have Protect on a Choice Specs Pokemon, and that'd be completely useless. So, you know, you'd have to just do a little bit of sanity checking. So, if you're going to use those top 4, so Shadow Ball, Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Protect, you'd go for Booster Energy instead, right? Because the Choice Specs doesn't let you use Protect. You could just go, cool, 4 HP, 252 Special Attack, 252 Speed, done. That's it. Fluttermane's done. Away you go. Put that into your team. Start messing around with it on Showdown. Adjust accordingly after that for anything else you want to do, like possibly changing your item, changing your moves, whatever you might run into. If you like having a bit more control over it, that's where you start getting into stuff like this. And one thing I didn't cover here, because I wanted to get into sort of like doing damage calcs and the HP optimization and stuff like that, is your like move coverage. So one of the things that Peakalytics and its team builder lets you do before you move into Showdown is if you hit team tools down here, it comes up with this here, so you can check like your actual meta calcs. So you can see here, and this will actually do some of this for you on offense and defense. So you can actually see here's some of the most common meta builds running around right now and what the spreads are. So a common meta Flutter main has a 68% chance of one-hit KOing with Shadow Ball against that Cerulean Edge, but it will always be fine for these attacks. So if it uses Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast, it's a 5-hit or a 3-hit KO sort of thing.
I see.
On the other hand, if you look at the offense, you can see here, this one with the Bitter Blade against the common Flutter main has a 50% chance to one-hit KO, and Shadow Sneak is a guaranteed 2-hit KO sort of thing. So, that's fine. The other thing it lets you do as well is Move IQ, as it's called here. So this will actually give you stuff that improves your coverage. So like we didn't put anything on this Gyarados yet. So if we give it Waterfall, it improves our coverage against Ground, Rock, and Fire types. And you can see down the bottom here, we have moves that are effective against those types, and we have stab moves that are effective against the types there. So, it's sort of going across this normal fighting, flying, etc., right?
Yep.
So if we go ahead and go, cool, we want Gyarados to have Waterfall, it'll actually adjust the other stuff here. So if we go ahead and say add Ice Spinner to Chien Pao, you'll notice it changes other stuff. So let's go Ghost Ball, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam. So it starts changing what it's recommending for all of your Pokemon here to sort of affect it and change it so that you have more stuff. So like if we go Earth Power here, it cuts down on moves on all your other Pokemon to do coverage. So like Sacred Sword, and you can just build a team this way as well if you really want to.
I see. It's a very useful tool.
Yeah, the other things lets you do, obviously, because we're talking about speed tiers. Say you never want to look at speed tiers ever again, you can just go to this and go Speed IQ. So this shows for each Pokemon in your team, anything in red is faster than it. And as you scroll down, anything in green, that Pokemon's faster than it. So like Chien Pao is always going to be faster than a Focus Sash, Photosynthesis Great Tusk with max speed investment, just even with the speed investment you got on the Chien Pao now. And if you want to look at just one specific Pokemon, you can just click it and it'll show you the full list there. So you can see Vivian is a speed tie, everything below that is slower, and these are the only Pokemon that are faster than Chien Pao sort of thing. And Cerulean Edge, you can see faster than more stuff. Gyarados, because we have no speed investments, about mid-tier, so you can see all the stuff, it's faster. Other stuff as well this lets you do is Breakers. So these are Pokemon that have guaranteed one-hit KOs in red on your team. Yellow is like guaranteed 2 hits, and then greens, as you scroll down, are like, yeah, you're perfectly fine against this Pokemon. It's got like a 100% chance to 4-hit. You're going to kill it before it gets to 4 hits back to you sort of thing. And again, if you want to look at a specific Pokemon, you can click that and see common builds, what you need to be worried about. And at the same time, you've got Waller, which is what stuff is defensively good against your team. So you can see Vaporeon basically walls everything on this team because nothing's got really good like grass or electric coverage at the moment.
Someone say Vaporeon?
I sure did.
Well, no.
Yeah, so this lets you do stuff, and also it's got little triggers here, so you can put stuff in Sun to change what walls it, or Rain, or
Dude,
Intimidate to drop your attack stats, Snarl.
Jesus Christ, these people thought about everything.
Oh yeah, we've come a long way since the Wild West days of 4th generation Pokemon. Simulating battles in Shoddy Battle, which doesn't exist anymore, which was the precursor to Showdown. That basically, yeah, you'd go into Shoddy and you'd just have to know what your team was and have it all ready to load up straight away. And it was called Shoddy Battle because it was a shoddy battle simulator, because there was no way of simulating Pokemon battles other than just playing on an actual cartridge, and online and 4th gen on the DS was terrible, so someone made Shoddy, and eventually it became Showdown. When Shoddy went away because the devs stopped working on it, Showdown existed, and now we have all of this, right?
That's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? Cool, let's have a look. I got a few teams here. Let's have a look at this team here. So this is just like one of the really common teams running around at the moment. So for example, if we look at this, you can see gives us our full offensive calcs here for all the common stuff you're running against the meta. If you look at defense, it gives you all of your like common defensive stuff you need to be worried about, and like move IQ. You can see this team's got a bit of a coverage problem against some types. Electric's a good example. There's just nothing this team really does against electric types right now.
Yes.
Speed IQ, obviously, Iron Bundle is one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, so it's just faster than everything. Dragapult, also really good and really fast at the moment. So you can see there's a lot of problems here. You can see Fluttermane with its ridiculous speed, just like how much it's faster than in this meta.
Oh,
I love that it still shows Dynamax Gengar, because this was built more for Sword and Shield, so it still shows Dynamax Pokemon in here. So it's like, hey, look, it's Dynamax Gengar. It's like, you can't Dynamax in Scarlet and Violet. What are you talking about?
no, that attitude.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, we can get a Dynamax, G-Max Grimmsnarl in as well while we're at it, and G-Max. Anyway.
Cinderace now.
Yeah, and Breakers and stuff like that. So you can see this team is really weak to Slitherwing, but also, like, nobody's using Slitherwing, so you can just basically ignore this. Dragapult's pretty common. Baxcalibur's pretty common. But yeah, so that's sort of how you can use this as, like, a team building tool and stuff like that. These are just all fairly meta builds for all these Pokemon as well.
Uh-huh. Oh.
Alright, so, one last thing, and we're pretty much done. And then it's like, hey, what do you want to try out real quick? And I'll do a showdown battle, and we'll kind of just test something out and show you sort of the sort of thought process you go through for it. This is a lovely site in Boston City Post. They're also the same one that has the damage calculator. It's a little logo at the top there. But they do reports on all of the tournaments. So this is the one that happened just over the weekend. So if anyone hasn't seen any of the matches from that and you're not interested in seeing what the winning team was, this is your chance to look away for spoilers, because it was literally 2 days ago that the finals was played.
Oh, the Europe Internationals.
Yep, EUIC, yeah, the Europe International Championship. So this is really good because it will give you like a good breakdown on like what the meta was. And I think this has got the top 128 in this post, at least. Yeah, top 128 players sort of thing. It won't have necessarily the spreads for each one of these, because in tournament play, you don't have to say these were the specific EVs I had, but a lot of the top tier players, if they win with a team because they want to see the meta advance, especially when you have a look at these top two teams, and the finals between these two was absolutely insane. You'll see these are basically the same team, which is one of the things I wanted to just highlight here for how the meta is currently looking. It's Fluttermane, Arcanine, Dragon, Palafin, Amoonguss, Tingler. That's the team, right? When I say Dragon, this one's Roaring Moon, this one's Baxcalibur. It's the same Dragon. Well, it's not the same dragon, but it's a dragon type. And if you have a look, there's a few other teams down here that are like similar. There's another one. There's been a few there. Here's a similar one with Dragonite and Qian Pao. So sort of a couple of minor adjustments in the meta. There should be another. Yeah, here's the same team except King Gambit and Dragonite. Here's the same team except it's got Iron Hands. Here's the same team except it's got Dragonite and King Gambit. You know, like, it's everywhere at the moment, sort of thing. Also, not a bad payday for a weekend worth of work, right? 5k.
No, not bad.
500 championship points. Enough for people in the Oceanic region to qualify for Worlds in a single tournament. Yeah, we have a lower CP bar to clear because we don't get an opportunity necessarily to have as many regionals or as many international championships.
Right.
I think we've got like 3 regionals in Australia. I think there might be 1 in NZ, and we got OCIC, the Oceanic International Championship, that's already been and gone, and that's like about it unless you want to travel. So, and similar for some of the other regions, like I think Latin America is fairly similar. They don't need as much championship points because they don't get as many tournaments there as well. But like I said, the really cool part is top tier players will actually give you the full breakdown for their team. So the guy that won, Paul Chua, this is his team, like exactly, right? Doesn't have the EV spreads because he didn't put them in, but this is exactly what his team's moveset and everything was, items, all of it, sort of thing. So you can't see the full EV spread, but you know exactly what he was running. Some people will. James Evans have done it. I think James might have put out. No, they don't have him here. So some people will give the full spreads. I think if we go to team reports, for example. Wow, that's ancient. Let's try home. SCS Europe. Sydney Regionals. This is a recent tournament. Happened around the same time. Oh, Sam Pendel's would have given his team for sure. Really? Disappointing. I'm sure Sam did on Twitter by now, but they might not have updated on this one. But yeah, so you can sort of see the team. So hey, look, it's the same team composition.
Yay, meta.
I will say the meta at the moment, very stale. There's a lot of different names going around for this team. So like it's Bottomane, Arcanine, Tinglu, Palafin, Amoonguss, Dragon. So it's FADTPA. So people have come up with names like Fat Pad or stuff like that, right? Which is kind of a riff on, I wonder if I can find the old team chalk. Yeah. So this was the archetype back when I used to play, which is Cresselia, Heatran, Amoonguss, Landorus, Therian, Mega Kangaskhan. CHALK. It was everywhere in 2015. Like, literally everywhere. 6 of the top 8 teams at Worlds were chalk teams. Like, it was everywhere. Also, Mega Kangaskhan's still absolutely fucking absurd Pokemon. I hate it so much.
Aura punch times 2.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so this is sort of like the last resource I wanted to talk about. So you can jump in here and have an idea of the meta and stuff. But I mean, Peakalytics does also give you that. You're looking at the tournament results as well. So, all right, let's try building a team then, HJ.
Yay.
All right. Any particular Pokemon that you really like? Have you got like something that's sort of a favorite for yourself at the moment?
Let me just open up my Switch real quick.
All right. Ayatoph, also haha Amoonguss.
Oh, fucking restart. Okay, update the freaking thing. Oh, I don't know. They pushed another update.
Huh. Time for ages.
Oh, the console update. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
I had hoped that they might have fixed the graphical issues, the frame rate issues. No,
Probably not.
it's a console update.
If we get any sort of graphical fixes for like the frame rate and stuff like that, it'll probably be with the first DLC.
DLC, yeah.
How sort of like the Sword and Shield one worked. Although the Sword and Shield one, they fixed some of like the stability stuff with it, but at the same time they actually made some of the frame timing for some stuff slower. So anyone that was speedrunning Pokemon's Sword and Shield back when the first DLC came out, like literally no one can beat the times from before that first patch, because if you have the DLC and patched your game now just runs slower in general, so you can't actually beat the world record anymore.
All right, so let's see boxes. I hate how it loads like one Pokemon at a time when you go into your boxes.
It's so slow. They need to fix that so badly.
Let's go with shit, I nicknamed all my Pokemon, so I gotta fucking think about what their names are.
I do the same thing.
God, don't you just love it when that fucking happens?
Look, I mean, let's be honest. Let's have a look at this team I built. The team name is literally Time Knife, right? Like, Axie and I came up with it together. Originally, instead of Great Tusk, the team had Iron Hands on it. It was originally called Time Hands, and then replaced the Iron Hands with Great Tusk. Then we were like, it's really just got knives. Why not Time Knife? Also, it's a Good Place reference.
Let's go with, say, Sylveon.
Sylveon's actually really quite good. Like, you might think it's not a particularly great Pokemon at the moment. It is really, really awesome because of a couple of quick reasons that we'll just cover off, and then we'll look at some of the stuff that works well with it. Its most commonly used ability is its hidden ability Pixelate, which changes the move typing of a move to being Fairy, right? So that's really good with Hyper Voice, which has a power of 900 accuracy. It's a spread move, so that's also really good. The other thing that's really, really good is Terra Blast that it's got, which, as you can see here, Terra Blast, if the physical attack's higher than special, it'll become a physical attack when it's terrestrialized, and also becomes the Terror type when the Pokemon's terrestrialized. But because it's a normal type move by default, you can actually give Sylveon Terror Blast, and it will get an 80 power, 100 accurate fairy move, because you don't want to run Moonblast, because it will just get changed with Pixelate, and then if you terrestrialize, it'll change to the Terror type instead of fairy, so you get the best of both worlds out of it, basically.
That's actually pretty good. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's actually really good. And then obviously we want Protect on here, and I'll leave this choice up to you because this is where we start getting into some interesting stuff. Quick Attack, right? Like all of these are special attacks so far, right? But this is a priority move, and because it's also normal, it will become fairy type priority, so that's good. Or you can go for like more special type damage for coverage, so you can go for something like a Shadow Ball or a Psychic for coverage there, sort of thing, if you prefer.
It gets Detect? What the fuck?
Yeah, you can have Detect or Protect, depends on what you want.
Wait, Sylveon learns Detect?
Learns it as an EV, and then you evolve it and it still keeps it,
okay. Well, I reckon Shadow Ball would be better for coverage.
Shadow Ball? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now we can go ahead and look at teammates for Sylveon. So here's some example teammates here. I'm going to leave all of the decision making from here on out to you. I'll just sort of like talk you through some of the options and stuff. So you got some cool stuff here. You got like Wo-Chien, who's just sort of a wall sort of thing. This is a very stalling Pokemon. Iron Bundle's a very aggressive sort of controlling the speed one. Dragonite's obviously quite good. Iron Hands, Tinglu, which we were talking about before. But yeah, what else do you want to run with your Sylveon?
Chien-Pao would be the one I was looking at.
Chien-Pao?
Yeah, with how much just running around.
Cool. All right, so let's go with Chien-Pao. I will just come back here real quick before we move on. So Sylveon's most common item at the moment is Throat Spray. That's because of Hyper Voice, because if it uses Hyper Voice, it gets the special attack boost sort of thing. So we'll just go with that. And meta spreads, it's pretty much, I think...
Special attack speed, right?
Doesn't seem to have any at the moment. Must be too many people running it in regulation C. That's fine. We'll just go ahead and go special attack 252, speed 252. The reason why we go with 252, they do cap out, as I said, at 255, but those remaining three don't do anything. Because the way EVs work at level 50 for VGC is the first 4 points you put into a stat for EVs will give you +1 to that stat. And then after that first 4, it's every additional 8 sort of thing. So if we weren't going to cap it out, for example, say like you're just going to put 4 into special attack, you'll notice it goes up from 130 to 131. But if we put in 6, it still like goes 131, 7 is still 131, 8, you know, it doesn't make any difference till we get to that 12 and it goes to 132.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, you don't need to worry about how like specific it is there. So like 255 doesn't do any more than 252, so we just go 252. And then with that, because the cap is 510 that you can put in max, but that remaining like because you're at 6 left, the remaining 6 don't do anything past the first 4 because none of these other ones can get higher than 4. You just pick one to go into sort of thing. So with Sylveon, because it's got like pretty average defense, you could go, let's give it like 1 more point of defense, it might survive something, or you could go, well, we don't know what's going to get hit by and go, we're going to give it like 1 more point of HP basically, which is what most people would do for it.
Yeah, I think the HP is better. Who knows?
1 HP is yeah.
And then for type, we will go modest plus special attack minus attack. That's the most common one, just to make sure it hits as hard as possible. All right, Chien-Pao ability, sort of run because there's no anything.
Only thing it's got.
All right, let's have a look at some.
Yep, let's go.
So it's a dark and ice type is about all I'll say here for attacks. So sort of what do you want to run there as far as attacks go?
Does Ice Spinner get rid of hazards? It doesn't, right?
It gets rid of terrain. So like if someone's running Indeedee and you've got that psychic terrain which blocks priority moves, then Ice Spinner is pretty good. The thing with Ice Spinner is if you look at its like ice coverage sort of thing. So if we go down here, Ice Spinner is 80 power, 100 accuracy. The next best one is Icicle Crash, which is 85 power, so you get 5 more power out of it, but you lose 10% accuracy, which means there's some chances when you use Icicle Crash you will miss, and that feels really bad. 90 accuracy is usually fine, like it's personal preference, because this also has a 30% chance of causing a flinch, so hey, you might hit on the 90 accuracy slightly harder, and then they don't attack because they flinch, sort of thing. So, but yeah, if you go down and look at like further ice moves, Blizzard's special attacks, you're never going to run that. Avalanche is only 60 power. Ice Fang is 65, 95% accuracy, 10% chance to freeze, 10% chance to flinch. Like, really, Ice Spinner is its best opportunity for a stab ice move. Like, nothing else is worth worrying about.
Yeah. Ice Spinner it is.
Cool. What else?
Sucker Punch. 100% sure.
Yep. So
it's just too good of a move to pass up on Dark type stab.
Oh yeah, Sucker Punch is absurd. The only other one here that you'd consider taking is Throat Chop, because it's
Throat
80
Chop,
power,
yeah.
100 accuracy, and then for 2 turns they can't use any sound moves, but there's not a huge amount of sound stuff running around. So losing the 10 power for the priority if they're attacking is worth it for Sucker Punch. Yeah.
And I don't know about like Sacred Sword. What would that cover for?
So
Running down.
other dark and ice types, so other Qian Pao, Tinglu, Qi, or Wo Qian, they're all darks. That's the 4 Treasures of Ruin. It would also work against Roaring Moon because it's a dark dragon. It would also work against anything ice, so it'll work against something like Baxcalibur. If someone was to Terra Normal a Dragonite, it would become super effective against the Terra Normal Dragonite, but that's going to be using extreme speed, so your Qian Pao would have to like actually tank a hit before it could hit back, sort of thing. So yeah, right, like it's good, right? Which is why people are running it, because it does give you good coverage against a lot of types, but it's also like not necessarily the best move.
I mean, it's got to run Protect because it's fragile.
Yep.
Got to run protect if you're fragile. Shit. I guess I'll just go with the top 4. You know, because
Sure,
switch
that works. So as far as items go, the most commonly being used one at the moment is Focus Sash, because like you said, it is very squishy. The other options you've got obviously is you can lean into it being slightly squishy and just go, I'm going to hit hard before it dies and go for a life orb, or Clear Amulet here prevents it from being intimidated. Basically, Clear Amulet is clear body, but as an item. Yeah,
that's cool. I think let's stick with the top choice.
Cool. Go with Focus Sash. All right.
Yeah.
And then we'll go and look at some spreads. So
I don't think it's working.
Yeah, it's broken on me. Hang on. All right, meta spreads. Cool. I love when Pikalytics just breaks on me. All right, let's go to Pikalytics. Let's go to Qian Pao. Yeah, most common one at the moment is 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 speed, or you could go for 252 attack, 4 special defense, 252 speed, or I think there's one which is like a more Jolly. This one's got a bit of defensive stats just to make it a bit more tanky.
I think going with the HP one would be better.
The top one?
Your top one, yeah.
Cool. All right, that's also Jolly, so that's even more speed because Jolly is. You get rid of the team there. What are you doing?
Oof.
Bruh. Alright. That's fine. I remember what we did so far. So, Sylveon. Alright, Pikalytics is just going to break completely. Hang on.
Oh, did it break? Oof.
It's being a complete jerk to us now. Alright, you know what? Let's do this the old-fashioned way. To death or whatever. Anyway. Alright, so we got a Sylveon, we had a Throat Spray, Pixelate, and then it was Hyper Voice, Terra Blast, Protect, and Shadow Ball with a bulky special sweeper. Or modest. 252. 252. Done. Easy. Alright, next. Qian Pao with a Focus Sash sort of run. And then was Ice Spinner. Sucker Punch. Protect. There is Protect, and Sacred Sword. And then we wanted Fast Physical Sweeper. Jolly, perfect. Alright, cool. Next.
What's it go with?
So there's some options on Piglytics there. So Dragonite, Fluttermane,
Oh, of course, the flood in
of
there.
course,
Yeah.
Amoonguss, Iron Hands, and Ting Lu.
Amoonguss would be my next one.
Ooh, Amoonguss. Alright, let's get Amoonguss in here. Amoonguss. I like Amoonguss. Right.
That's a very nice one. I do like Amoonguss as well. Like it was just a sort from when I first watched it with the whole like redirecting and everything. Wow.
Yeah, so most common item at the moment on Amoonguss is the citrus berry, because it is a very support like sort of tanky Pokemon. So let's just not even really talk about it too much. Why is it showing the singles? Regenerator is the most common one. You can opt for Effect Spore, where it's 30% chance when it gets hit to do poison, paralysis, or sleep. But Regenerator means it restores a third of its HP.
Yeah, I think Regenerator is better.
Yeah.
I mean, that RNG of like the 3 status, I don't think it's worth it.
Alright, do you want to just go for the classic?
Yep, the classic.
Alright, that's easy. So, Spore, Pollen Puff, Rage Powder, Protect, and Terra
Oh,
type.
what does
Water.
Pollen Puff do?
Oh, Pollen Puff. Cool. That's a really cool question. So Pollen Puff is a bug type move. It's 90 power, 100 accuracy. And if you attack an ally Pokemon, it heals for 50% of that Pokemon's max HP. So say your Chien Pow's taken damage, you can Pollen Puff your Chien Pow to heal it for 50% with your Amoonguss.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty damn cool. Alright. And let's just do the relax spread. That's nice and easy. So that is easy spread. On to relax, plus defense minus speed, because we don't care about its speed, and it is 252, 0, 156, 0. That's 252, 0, 156, 0, and 100. Perfect. So it makes it really tanky. It's got an okay special attack. It's better than its like attack stat, but also doesn't deal damage, doesn't deal damage, doesn't deal damage. Mostly used for healing your own Pokemon. So,
I mean, you could probably switch one out for like a Giga Drain or something, right?
You could, but you're never gonna get that much use out of it. And because it's got the Regenerator, which heals it for a third of its HP when it switches out, you're gonna more have it knocked down below 50% health, have it restore a quarter of its HP with the Citrus Berry, and then switch it out to get another third of its HP back, sort of thing. So from a half, you're gonna go back up to 3/4, and then back to basically full. You're gonna be like a couple of percentage off full once you switch it out with Regenerator. And Terra type Water is here, so it can avoid Arcanine, basically. I also changed your Sylveon to Terra type Fire, so that lets it deal with Steel types, and Chien Pao. I don't know if it has a common Terra type.
What I've seen is Dark.
Just Dark?
Yeah, that would make it is Dark.
Yeah, that would make it only 2 times weak to fighting instead of 4 times because it's Ice Dark,
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Right, what else do you want to add?
Let's see. How does an Altaria would work? Because it'll be one of the dragons, right?
Yeah, so Altaria is okay.
Oh no, it doesn't have his megaphone. Never mind.
No.
Never mind. So what would be a good dragon type to fit in there? In your opinion?
That is a good question. So at the moment you got like the beginnings of what we call cores. So something we didn't sort of cover when you start talking about team building is there's cores or other sort of this common sort of thing. So, you know, like Trick Room's a specific strategy, or you can look at stuff like Stall, which isn't really common in VGC, but you could go for like a more stall team with something like Wo-Chan and Garganackle and stuff like that. Or you can look at stuff like Dondozo Tatsugiri is sort of a core at the moment. The Fat Pad team, sort of that sort of thing that we were looking at, like that's a specific team as well. That's more around what we call a concept called balance, which is where everything in the team is sort of like across the board, sort of some stuff can hit it hard, but there's a bit of defensive investment and stuff like that, so the team's just like really quite balanced across the board. Seeing as you've got a fairy type already, the two most common cores you'll see in VGC are what we call Grass, Water, Fire. So something like Amoonguss, Arcanine, Palafin would be a Grass, Water, Fire core. And then the other really common one is Fairy, Steel, Dragon. So you've got Sylveon right now, and if you're talking about adding a Dragon type in, you'd also want to possibly look at like a decent Steel type Pokemon as well, if you wanted to sort of go for a core like that. So your options for like Dragons is you'd have something like Baxcalibur, for example, would be a good choice, but you've already got an Ice type, so you don't necessarily want to double down on that. Other common dragons at the moment are like Dragonite, Dragapult, and Roaring Moon, so you could pick between those. Dragonite being Dragon Flying, Dragapult's Ghost Dragon, and Roaring Moon is Dark Dragon, so that would give you another Dark type on the team, so like that may not be the best option sort of thing, but that's sort of like
sounds good. I've always been interested in it, but I've never owned a game that could actually use it until now.
All right, let's go Dragapult then.
So it'd be fun to try use.
Yeah, I think Dragapult's pretty cool Pokemon as well. It's seen a good bit of usage recently. It's won a couple of tournaments as well. So let's have a look. It should be 3% usage. Not huge, but it's very quick. Like it's one of the fastest Pokemon on the meta right now. So because you've already got Chien Pao, which is really quick on there, like leading like a Chien Pao Dragapult combo would give you like a really fast opener sort of thing and do like a lot of damage up front. So like you can see Chien Pao is like one of its most common teammates right now.
Oh yeah, because it's just speed.
Exactly, yeah. So most common items on it at the moment is either Choice Band, which is like equivalent of the Choice Specs have physical attacks because it's a physical attacker. Life Orb, where it's going to take a little bit of chip damage, but it'll do a shitload more damage, and the Dragon Fang, which just increases Dragon type damage, sort of thing. Citrus Berry, we've already got, and Focus Sash we've already got. So those would be your options for something there. And once we've gone and talked about what you're picking there, then that lets us look at other options, what you want to do. So which kind of item do you want to run on that Dragapult?
I think Life Orb would be good if we're going to go ahead. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So Dragapult, we want a Life Orb. Cool. So now we're talking about abilities, right? So you've got two abilities here and its hidden ability. So hidden ability is Curse Body. If it gets hit by an attack, 30% chance the move gets disabled. Useless. Dragapult's not going to live very long, right? It's a hard hitting, just nuke your opponent's Pokemon sort of thing. So we're not going to worry about that. Clear Body would give us the ability to avoid stat drops. So say you did send out Chien Pao Dragapult and your opponent went, crap, that's really bad, and switched out for an Arcanine before you could attack. That would stop you from losing an attack stat.
Yeah.
Exactly. Infiltrator would also let you avoid basically all screens, all everything, and substitutes and just hits straight into the Pokemon. So both of these are valid choices. So up to you which one you want to kind of go with.
Clear Body. I mean, right now, I don't think I've seen many screen setters around.
There's not really, no.
Yeah, so Clear Body would be the choice to go.
Yeah, 96% usage right now. Cool. I wanted to talk you through it and see what option you'd pick as well. Just I was curious, so I didn't go into it from here. Cool. All right, let's put in the obvious options here. I won't even ask you for these. Your best physical attack is Dragon Darts.
Yep.
Hits twice, and in doubles it'll try and actually hit both enemy.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's good. And the other one it's using a lot at the moment is Shadow. No, what's the move called? Phantom Force, not Shadow Force. Shadow Force is Giratina's one. Oops. Yeah, Phantom Force. So 90 power, 100 accurate, basically Ghost Fly, but also it breaks protection, as it says here. So if they put Protect up, doesn't care, Phantom Force hits through Protect. That is actually really good at the moment because Dragapult is so fast that on the first turn it's in combat, you can go, cool, it's going to Phantom Force out, avoid getting hit by everything, and then just smack straight into your opponent on the their next turn sort of thing. So that's actually really handy for that. As you can see, it's the second most used move on it right now. Cool. So other options you've got U-turn because it's really fast.
Yeah, I like U-turn.
Cool. You like U-turn? Cool.
Switching if I think it's a bad matchup is just too good.
Yep. Cool. So your last sort of move option here, if we have a look, people running Outrage is another dragon move. I wouldn't worry about that so much because you're running like Lumberry. You could run a substitute on it to hide behind. You could run Sucker Punch to get another Sucker Punch on the field, or you could just go your safe bet and run sort of like a Protect.
I think substitute. I think I like substitute.
You want to try sub? All right, let's go. Let's go substitute. That's going to be pretty hard to use at some points, but we'll see what we can do there. Jolly, full attack speed. Yep, that's what I figured it'd be cool. Fast physical sweeper. Jolly, attack, defense. Yep, perfect. Cool. All right. Pokemon number 5.
So what I've been looking at ever since you said Steel type is two Pokemon. Either Magnezone or Iron Treads. I'm sort of leaning towards more Magnezone.
Magnezone's a good choice.
Yeah.
I don't dislike either of those options. So, like, your thing with both those options, right? So, like, Iron Treads would give you, I think it's Ground Steel? Yeah, Ground. Yeah. So, that would give you something your team doesn't have at the moment, which is a Ground type. But at the same time, Magnezone gives you something you don't currently have, which is Electric, right? So, either option's good. So, you're thinking Magnezone?
I think Magnezone, yeah.
Awesome. That is way out of left field. To be honest, like, that's very anti-meta. Let's have a look what percentage usage it's got at the moment.
I fucking hate meta, man.
.1. Alright.
Oh man.
Awesome. Assault Vest Magnezone. Ooh, wow. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it?
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
Cool. Let's go. Assault Vest Magnezone. What are people running on this thing at the moment? Analytic, that's what I figured. So, yeah, 1.3 if it's last to move. Yeah. It's not necessarily super fast. Cool. All right, let's go for type coverage right off the bat. So Flash Cannon and Thunderbolt, because we don't have rain. What else are people running? Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt. Bolt Switch, not a bad option to switch it out. And then Terror Blast if you want to Terror it, yeah. That is not bad, or Protects, or Electro Web for speed control, yeah. So Electro Web actually hits both of your opponent's Pokemon and drops their speed by 1. So it's basically an electric version of Icy Wind, so you could use that as well for another option if you wanted.
I mean, Terror Blast would be great to put on, for sure.
Well, we're not going to run Protect because it's got Assault Vest, right? So like Terror Blast is good. What are you thinking for the last one?
I think Web is good.
Electro Web. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's go Electro Web.
Wasn't that move freaking Garvantula's move back ages ago?
Garvantula does have it, yeah. So let's go bulky special sweeper. Give it a lot of bulk there.
Assault Vest. Wow.
Done with that. We want attack more. What's the spread people running? Modest 252 HP, 252. Special attack, pretty much what we're running. Yeah. Go 4 in defense just to give it just a little bit. Actually, you know what? That's gonna get plus 55, so it's gonna be 160. Yeah, let's just go defense because it's just gonna give it just a little bit more. What Terra type are you thinking? So it's currently like really weak to ground, right?
Yeah. So we want to switch it out to something that's
neutral by ground. So it's also weak to fire with the steel typing, so Terra Water might be a good option. Because then that lets you cover, basically it'll let you strike back against fire types as well as it'll let you attack back against ground types, and both will be super affected by Terra Water, Terra Blast.
What about Psychic?
So Psychic would take you from 4 times weak to ground to just normaled, and the same for fire, so it doesn't necessarily give you anything. And then Psychic doesn't hit either of those types back for super effective. So you've got the options right when you're looking at Terra types to just straight up go full defensive to avoid the damage. So like with ground and fire as like 2 of your biggest common weaknesses.
Flying then.
Like flying would work. That would get you away from the ground types, but again, because you're running Terra Blast, you want to look at, okay, what does flying help you against? It'd help you against grass types, which I guess you don't really have anything fire on the team yet for. Oh no, you got Sylveon's Terra type, I guess. But if you're Terra Astalizing Magnezone instead, you wouldn't have anything. So flying would work, because it would just completely immune ground. That is another option if you want to try that, yeah.
Because I'm just seeing. Because there's nothing that really takes up fire, is there? On my team right now.
Water is your best.
Oh, yeah, the
best
water.
bet. Yeah. And your Amoonguss right now is Terra Water, but doesn't have Terra Blast. So having Terra Water on Magnezone would give you an option to deal with fire types
Yeah, I
as
think
well.
water's good too. Good.
Cool. Right.
Or I was
water.
thinking maybe add like a water type at the end as the last one.
Yeah, well, if you want to do that, you could go Terra type flying instead on this one to give yourself some grass coverage with the flying type and add a water type at the end. And then you've covered off having a weakness against like Amoonguss and stuff like that.
Yeah. Let's go flying and then.
Just trying to think, because like Dragapult, remember we got Terra type Dragon. I'm just trying to wonder if that is better served being Ghost maybe for the Phantom Force. I think Ghost probably makes more sense there. Because at least he gets it away from the Fairy weakness and Flutter Mane's everywhere. Because Dragon just makes it still weak to Flutter Mane. So yeah, let's go Ghost on that one. Flying. And you're thinking a water type last, eh?
A water type, yeah. I mean, Powerfin's the obvious choice to go.
Yep. Another option you could go with would be Gyarados to give you some Intimidate cover. But yeah, Palafin or Gyarados would be your
I think Gyarados sounds good.
You want to go with Gyarados? All right.
Yeah, Gyarados does sound nice.
Let's go. Do you like shiny Gyarados more, or do you like regular Gyarados? I gotta ask.
Shiny, bro, shiny.
All right, let's go red Gyarados. There we go. Cool. All right, item. What are people running on Gary at the moment? Gyarados. Citrus Berry, Lumberry. Safety Goggles, yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of. Yeah, that'll make it immune to being put to sleep by Amoonguss, basically.
Yeah, safety goggles. Because
Right,
Lumberries and berries are one-time use.
Berries are one-time use, yeah. So let's go Goggles. Intimidate, obviously. And then people are running Waterfall,
yeah.
Protect, basically.
Yep.
Cool with that. All right.
Those moves haven't changed in forever, have they?
It didn't used to run Taunt. Taunt's like pretty new at the moment, which lets you like taunt around protects and stuff like that.
It was
which
something
is
else
like,
instead of taunt, right? But Waterfall was always a staple.
Earthquake on point.
Yeah.
It used to be really common characters. I wish I was joking. Yeah, taunt's pretty recent. Yeah, Earthquake used to be pretty common on Gary. Intimidates. Yeah, that's an interesting spread. So a bit of HP and still a bit of damage while still being reasonably speedy as well. That's actually not bad for a spread there. If you want to just run with that.
Yeah, let's just roll with that.
Alright, so that is Adamant Nature. That is 148, 244. So that's 148, 244 plus 404, 108. So
a bit of everything.
108. Cool. Alright.
That's a weird fucking team now. Look at it, but holy fuck, it is interesting.
Well,
people won't know what the fuck it is.
that sometimes is the best part. Let's just have a quick look at it. It's like, hang on. Team is valid. All right, cool. Import, export, copy. Let's just go back over to Pixelytics real quick. Let's just go new team, import from Showdown, import team. Cool. And then if we hit this, we can have a look at what actually breaks your team. Glamora, Dragapult. Actually, that's not that bad for common meta threats. Like Flutter Mane's not even near the top of this team at all. You've got like counters for that. You got Glamora is common enough that not that common. Same with Dragapult. That's Gallade. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Rotom Heat. Armarouge. Golden Go is a bit of a threat. That's kind of a problem because you don't have an easy way of dealing with that necessarily. Great Tusk could be a threat. Same with Baxcalibur. There's nothing here that's breaking your team that makes me incredibly nervous about your team setup. Like Flutter Mane's not even on this list, right? Like it's all the way down here.
Down bottom, yeah.
So that's pretty good. Walls, that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Iron Hands, because you got nothing that really deals with electric types right now, unfortunately. You can get around that. It's like electric fighting, right? So you've got a couple of ways of getting. It's not too bad. Cool. All right.
Who the fuck runs Belly Bolt?
All right. Let's run it. I'm gonna like make you make all the decisions, but we're gonna run a battle. finish up the stream. So let's see how this goes, right?
Jesus, oh no.
Alright, I hope you're ready.
Not
stream-
really, but yeah, sure.
No stream delay for you. Alright, let's go. Battle. This should be ranked. Yeah, it'll be ranked, which is fine. Cool. Alright, so there's your opponent's team. So they've got Wochen, Dark Grass, Wall, Chiyu, Dark Fire, Armourouge, Fire Psychic, Arbeliever is Grass, Nothing, Garchomp, Dragon Ground, and Golden Go.
God, Gordingo's the one that's fucking. I think
Sorta,
Dragon Bolt, Chimpao would be the lead.
Yep, and 3 and 4.
Jesus. Sylveon.
Sylveon, yep.
3.
And
Fire. Gyarados will be the last one.
Gyarados last one? Alright,
Yeah.
cool. So here we go. So Dragapult and Chimpao. Your opponent sent out Wochen and Arbeliever. So sort of everyone's weakening everything's defense, and attack is going down for Wochen. So how do you want to kick this off?
Let's see. What type is Wochen again?
It's Dark Grass. So
Dark Grass.
yeah. Ice will be good against it from Chimpao.
Yeah.
Also the U-turn from Dragapult, but they don't necessarily want to switch that out just yet.
No.
Would be the advice, yeah.
Because I was thinking from Chimpao I would use Ice onto Arbeliever.
Arbeliever, yeah.
Yeah. That would be better because it's pure straight out grass.
Mhm.
Probably substitute for Dragapult.
Okay, cool. We'll go substitute and Ice Spinner into the Arbeliever, and we'll see how that goes.
Wait, is it poison? I thought it was just pure grass.
It's grass normal, but that's
Grass normal, okay.
fine. Like it'll be, super effective.
Oh, are
against it
you?
anyway. All right, now we got Sun and Solar Beam went into the substitute, so you actually completely dodged that attack too. So that's actually not that bad. That actually worked out pretty well in your favor, things considered.
I think I'll U-turn out Dragapult into Arbeliever.
So you turn it into the Arbeliever and
Yeah.
Chimpao.
Protect it, I think, yeah.
Protect, cool. All right. So let's see how this goes. What do you want to switch in for Dragapult once it U-turns?
Probably Sylveon.
Sylveon? Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah. Because it'll just fucking Gyarados will just choke itself to death.
Yeah, it's gonna die real bad if you bring it in here. U-turn takes out the Arbeliever, that's really good. Dragapult loses a bit from the orb, and we bring Sylveon in. And that's got a good game against Wochen that tried to stun ball the Chimpao and missed. Oh, actually tried to stun spore your Sylveon and missed. So actually didn't get the accuracy.
Oh my
And there's Golden Go.
That's what I was sort of worried about. Well, there's still Shadow Ball for Golden Go, right?
Yep, so your options here would be either Shadow Ball the Golden Go or Terra Fire Terra Blast the Golden Go, in
Yeah.
case it changes out from, like, it might Terra Steel, which is particularly common on Golden Go. So if you go Terra Fire Terra Blast straight into Golden Go,
I might do that, yeah.
you might actually just kill it straight up. If you
Yeah.
really want to make sure that Golden Go goes down, like if you're worried about it, my advice, because obviously we're just sort of still going a bit of coaching route, you'd go Terra Fire, Terra Blast into the Golden Go, and then just to double up, you can go Sucker Punch into it as well.
Punch into it, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to do that?
Yeah. Let's just Sucker Punch it, yeah.
Alright, let's see how this goes. And if it dies to the Sucker Punch, like if we get lucky and the Sucker Punch is enough to one-shot it, the
just
Terra
put the
Fire
Wochen,
Terra Blast
right?
goes into Wochen and does a lot of damage anyway, right?
Oh dear.
Okay, so
Okay. Yes.
Wochen changed to Ghost. We still get the
Oh,
Golden Go down.
sorry.
And Wochen went for Pollen Puff and missed because we doubled up into the Golden Go. So you're up 4 Pokemon to 2 right now, by the way.
Wochen's Ghost, right? That means Shadow Ball
It's
should
just
be-
straight up Ghost right now. So the only thing that's good against it is Shadow Ball
Shadow Ball,
and Sucker
yeah.
Punch, yeah.
Let's Shadow Ball the Watch. Oh, Umbridge wouldn't be too bad either, I mean.
Yep,
Because
either
if
one's good
Wochen's
here, yeah.
fucking, if it's just a wall, then I can just take out the Umbridge.
Yep, that's not a bad play. So do you want to Shadow Ball the Armor?
Yeah, Umbridge, yeah.
And what's Chimpao going to do this time then?
Does Umbridge have offensive attacks? It does, right? Probably does.
It does, yeah. So it's going to be trying to hit you with like fire moves and stuff like that. So it might try and take out Chi and Power. So you could go for Protect, or you could go for like Sucker Punch into the Armor Rouge.
I think I'll go for Protect to see what moves it's going.
Not a bad call. All right, let's see what happens here. Shadow Ball into the Armor Rouge, down to 38%. Stun Spore into the Chi and Power just hits and misses. Armor Cannon into the Chi and Power. You just completely wasted their entire turn there. So.
All right, Shadow Ball once again to Armor Rouge.
They forfeited. And you won. That simple.
Wow.
All right, cool. Maybe a little bit of beginner's luck there, but if I'm being 100% perfectly honest with you there, this is actually not a bad team, right? Like, there's some very oddball picks on here, like very anti-meta picks, like Magnezone and Gyarados. Like Gyarados isn't necessarily that anti-meta. It's not uncommon in the meta right now, but Magnezone's very anti-meta. But like this move pool with a Terra type flying, like if an Amoonguss comes out against your Magnezone, you could just go Terra Flying, Terra Blast, and it's pretty much just fucked, right? Like it's gonna die. And if they try and Terra Water, which is the common type on Amoonguss right now, you just hit it with Thunderbolt and kill it anyway. And if it goes to the other common one, which is Terra Dark, you could just switch out for Chi and Power and just hit it with Sacred Sword and kill it as well. Which, hey, like, that's a lot of focusing on one Pokemon, but, like, if you're thinking about the stuff that's in the meta team right now, you're talking about, like, Fluttermane, which dies to Chi and Pow. You're talking about Palafin, which has a hard time against Magnezone. You're talking about Amoonguss, which has a hard time against your Magnezone, your Chi and Pow, and your, like, Sylveon and stuff like that because of the Terra Fire, Terra Blast as well. You're talking about Arcanine, which doesn't have a particularly good time against Gyarados. It also doesn't have a particularly good time against Magnezone if it's Terraslice. It also doesn't have a particularly good time against Dragapult. You're talking about your common dragons, so your Dragapult, your Roaring Moon, your Baxcalibur, and your Dragonite. So you're talking about Sylveon as counters into that. Chi and Pow's got a bit of game against some of those. You're talking about Ting Lu. Chi and Pow's got good game against Ting Lu. It's also got good game against Wo-Chen, as you saw there. So, like, there's some not common picks in here mixed in with some common picks that actually makes this a kind of legitimate team.
Oh, hey. I love shit like this, you know?
Hey, team building is a lot of fun in this game. Like, all it takes is a bit of just, like, someone to get you introduced to, like, the concepts and access to some of these sites and stuff that gives you, like, we're not building blind, right? Like, you've got me here to help, but we're also not building blind because we're using stuff like Peakalytics to look at it and go, what are we dealing with here, sort of stuff like that. You know, we can plug stuff into the damage calc if we needed to, but we've got most of the meta calcs we need here, right? Like, I'm talking about stuff like, here's your Fluttermane, here's how your team matches up against Fluttermane, right? Like, Dragapult deals with it, Magnezone deals with it with Flash Cannon. I completely forgot, because Steel's super effective against Fairy.
Right.
Gyarados can deal with it, sort of thing, or you can go, cool, how do we deal with Iron Hands, which is that common one that you've got a problem with? Okay, Sylveon can deal with it with Terra Blast, that's cool. Dragapult can deal with it with Dragon Darts, you know, like, okay, so Iron Hands is a bit of a problem. What about Dondozo, right? Sylveon can deal with it with Terra Blast, cool. Or like Magnezone can deal with it probably with Thunderbolt. Yeah, guaranteed one hit KO.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that's the basics of building a Pokemon team.
Jesus Christ.
How do you feel, right? Like, it was a lot to take in. I know it's only been like a couple
initially
hours,
it's a lot to take in. But I think once you start tidying stuff out, you know, and you know what's common, what's not, some sacrifices you have to make, it's pretty, it comes around pretty nicely.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to sort of know about, like, the cores. Like, we went with a Fairy Dragon Steel, and this is like really solid as like just a three sort of piece pivot for your team, and we know that Chi and Power is a good one, and it being like Dark Ice and covering some of the weaknesses of what the Fairy Dragon Steel is, and these also being Dragon Ghost and Steel Electric sort of thing, does give you a lot of coverage just between these four, and then you got a couple of good support Pokemon in here as well. You know, this team could go through like a few more steps of refinement and stuff like that, but like,
yeah, for sure.
as it is, as just a sort of a starting point, this is a good starting point.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, you know. I'll probably like tinker with it a little bit here and there.
Well,
see if
here's the fun part, right? So we're looking at some poker pastes before, as they're called. Picolytics lets you do this. So we can go ahead and go, bam, here's the paste, and you can sort of see right off the bat, it gives you all of like the stats and everything just straight up, which it just makes it untitled poker paste. It looks really ugly. What you can do is we can go ahead and go HJX first team.
First draft.
And it's your first team ever, so we just go first team, right? Then we can go in here and you go import export, and we can go ahead and go there we go, upload to poker paste, open team sheet, and it goes HJX first team OTS, and gives you all the information there. And so you can see it with OTS, it only just gives you same as we were seeing before, like the folders, the levels and stuff like that. Or you can just go upload to poker paste, and it gives you all of the EVs and everything. And then I can go ahead and just go copy, and then we can go over here to Discord, and then I can find my DMs, and I can go, there you go, there's your team that we just built together. And now you can import that directly from there straight into Pokemon Showdown yourself. And like you can see, I've got a Showdown account up here. You can actually check my stats, previous seasons. Hey, look, there's me last season testing out my team. 49.3% win rate.
Nice.
Which is terrible. 49% win rate in Generation 9 random battles, because that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm bored and I'm just wanting to test out Pokemon. Which I'll just show off now, just because I mentioned random battles, so I should probably just do one real quick so people go, what the hell's random battles? Random battle is one of my favorite formats, because it just goes completely random. So if we do this is going to be 6 completely random Pokemon from literally everything in Generation 9. So I got a Lucario. What's the rest of my team? Basculegion, Dondozo, Toedscruel, Zangoose, and Open. Cool. And completely random moves and setup and everything like that. Meloetta is normal psychic. Let's go for Basculegion. Oh, okay, that was a lot of damage. Aqua Jet. That did nothing. Wow, okay. I don't know Basculegion very much. So just like, I don't know what this is good at. Facade, Quick Attack, Sword Stance, Toxic Orb, that's bad. Dragon, that's bad. That's bad. Sleep Talk. Oh no. Okay. You know what? We're gonna be incredibly mean and evil. Curse. So yeah, Dondozo. This is what they call a rest talk build. So I'm gonna hit Curse, we're gonna lose some speed, get some attack and defense, and it's gonna leftovers, and then I'm gonna hit rest, and it's gonna go straight to sleep. And this is a solo thing in singles that they let you do, which is called rest talk, because sleep talk uses one of the moves while it's asleep. And so this Pokemon's just gonna sit around like for ages, just without dying. Because it can curse while it's asleep to increase its stats, or it can wave crash while it's asleep with sleep talk and just do lots of damage. Hey, look, it's a jump off. Wave crash? Curse. Alright, stats up. Whatever. It's really slow now. That's bad. Let's go Terra Fairy and then sleep talk again. Remove the grass type weakness and wave crash. Nope, rest, which will fail because it's already asleep.
I mean, that's how sleep talk goes, right? That's how sleep talk goes.
Yeah. Let's just go for wave crash. Am I gonna get the 2-turn wake up? I think I might. Yep. Cool. Wave crash is alright. Cool. This might go really badly for me, but the other thing in solos is like setup sweepers like this can just be so stupid because they just go, yeah, we're just gonna kill everything without too much trouble because it's really hard to get up something once it's set up off the field. So this Dondozo might just be able to completely annihilate. Strength Sap, fuck off.
Strength Sap?
I hate that move.
Wow.
So it drops your attack and heals itself. Like, it's really annoying to deal with.
Doesn't Among Us have that as well?
I don't think it does. I know like Stantler and Go-Goat have it.
Alright. Whoops, I tapped in Among Us.
Oh yeah, right. This thing put up Substitute, and this Novern's got Infiltrator, so it's just attacking past the Substitute anyway.
I actually tapped in Among Us, not Among Us.
Funny. Let's switch to Dondozo.
Yeah, it's only
And
page
Wave
power.
Crash.
Is it the other mushroom Pokemon that has the strength?
Shinootic, which is like
Yeah.
fairy type, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. Alright, let's just rest.
Oh yeah, it is Shinoric that has.
Okay, cool. Wow. Alright. This guy's got stealth rocks and
Wow.
spikes, toxic spikes up against my team, so that's kind of annoying. Oh yeah,
Oof.
2 layers of toxic spikes. Rest? Damn it. I was hoping it would curse while it's asleep. Oh right, I'm a fairy type. Yeah, that's bad. Wave Crash? Okay, yep, cool. Good job, Dondozo.
Bruh.
Fuck it.
Oof.
Haha, you can't get me
Steel
with poison.
type.
I'm immune.
Focus
it's not-
blast.
is it Poison Dark? Yeah, Focus Blast. Let's go for that 70% accuracy move. Why not?
It worked.
Okay. Yeah,
Fucking
good job,
worked.
Focus Blast. Let's mellow better again. Let's Focus Blast.
Of course. Of course.
Why am I not surprised?
Oh, fucking course.
Oh, right, it's not a poison type anymore. God damn it. Fuck it.
Oh, right. Lost its
Toxic.
poison typing. It's a fire ground.
It's ground grass. It's
Ground
weird.
grass.
Let's just go for Spore on this Meloetta. Meloetta's like rude, right? Because this is a random battle. It does randomize level, so unless like Toadskull's level 86, the Meloetta's at 82. But Meloetta's like what are they called? Mystical Pokemon. So it's like one of the legendaries, but not one of the ones you can just get by default.
Yeah.
It was like an event one. And so like they're typically very high stat total. Mythical. One or the other, Kai. Come on, cut me some slack.
Fucking.
Yeah, I just said cut me some
Forever.
slack. I haven't talking for like 2.5.
No. I mean like the other person taking
Oh,
forever.
yeah. Well, I'm getting hydrate spammed, so I guess that's my slack I'm getting cut.
Jesus Christ, how many are you doing, Kai?
Thank you for the head pat. Alright, cool. Let's put it to sleep.
Oof, that toxic.
And knock off. Cool. Kill the jump off, hopefully.
Oof.
Oh, it doesn't even have an item still. Damn it. Shit. Giga Drain. You can't leech. See me, I'm a grass type, idiot.
Jeez.
Just go for Giga Drain again. Yeah, String Sap, it's not going to do much, but it's going to heal it for a shitload because
That's
fucking, it's
stupid.
so stupid
That's
that move.
so dumb.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to make you weaker, but also I'm going... Oh, wait, Earth Power won't hit because it's flying type.
Wait,
Think
it's
for half a second, Abby. Come on.
and liquid ooze counter.
Yep. This guy's like stalling for ages on some of their moves. It's like, come on.
Bro, there's only one move. He's only got like 2% HP.
3%.
Drop him, man. Sorry, 3.
It literally says on Showdown. So why Showdown's good for testing because it does actually tell you like exactly how much
Oh.
HP and stuff you've got and how much percentage it did, things like that as well. Okay. Go Noivern, get oh right, Infiltrator does get hit by entry hazards, right. Flamethrower. He's gonna send out Duck Trio again. What's the bet, huh? What do you reckon?
Oh, I think he would 100%. Wait, what?
Okay. And
Wait,
sub.
he thinks-
and
he
then I'll
thinks
just
he'll be fine.
flamethrower through the sub and kill it. Cool, good job.
He thinks he'll be fine.
There's the Duck
Yeah,
Trio.
there's the Duck Trio.
Okay. Draco Meteor. Ah, Mr. Stone Edge, suck it. Get out of here.
There it is.
Here comes Meloetta back in. I'd bet money on it that he's just going to send a Meloetta back in, not something else.
I'll be very surprised if he does.
He's got 2 Pokemon we still haven't seen. Bombardier. What? Alright. I'll switch Nova now so I can get the attack back up.
Reset, yeah.
Alright, Zangoose.
Okay.
I need you to hit this
Facade?
close combat. Actually, hit the facade before you die. Yeah, come on. On, take out that Meloetta. Yeah, there we go.
Hey.
I could still win this. Come on.
Yeah, I think it's doable. You gotta.
Bombardier's got Stone Edge. I didn't even know Bombardier could learn Stone Edge.
Yeah, no, I didn't either, man.
To be fair, I haven't seen Bombardier like ever in competitive because it's bad.
The
5 years
fucking-
later, says Kai. Yeah,
The
exactly.
flamingo is probably bitter, right?
Flamigo is legitimately decent. Like, it's actually good. Alright, let's go Draco Meteor.
Whoa.
And I lose because
There it is.
damn it.
Yeah.
Oh well. GG. Alright, cool. Let me just do this. Alrighty. So that was that. Have you got any other questions or anything else you wanted to cover off before we sort of wrap up, HJ?
No, I mean, hopefully I can try fit an Espion somewhere on a separate team. That's my number one. I can't leave my boy behind. But yeah, hopefully. But I'd be interested to see how it shakes up once the DLC comes out.
Yeah, so the thing I'm interested in is this current format for Regulation C is supposed to run for quite a while yet. Like, I can't remember exactly when Regulation C is due to end. I'll just see if I can find it. It might probably on Victory Road. Regulation C is until the 30th of June, so it's a couple of months away. And the Worlds tournament is probably in August, September, if I had to take a guess, around when it usually is. Which means we're kind of in this current meta until right before Worlds, which means if Worlds is, hey, the first lot of the DLC is available and
Just say autumn. So.
Yeah, if Pokemon Home is available for Worlds, because we just found it's in August this year.
Yeah.
August last year was the London Open for the championships, and this year it's in Yokohama, Japan. So it'll probably be in August. So that means if Pokemon Home's available, the meta gets a complete shake-up, right? Because
Yeah, for sure.
other forms of Pokemon that are available right now. So, for example, Ursaring's currently legal. If Home's available, then that might allow people to use Ursaluna. Basculegion would be available. Not that I think it's necessarily very good. Depending on if it gives us access to some other stuff from Legends Arceus, like people might use Hisui and Samurott, which is getting speculated as being possibly quite good. Yeah, it completely shakes up the meta, and if that happens in June, then that happens like literally 2 months out from Worlds, right? Like June, July, August, which means then there's 2 months of people scrambling to find new teams for Worlds with this current format. So that's always been the conversation, right? Is that the current Regulation C ends 2 months before the World Championships, which means either the format hits at the end of June and they go, we need to make some minor adjustments. The Treasure of Ruins Pokemon are too strong. We need to like ban them, for example, or we need to just sort of tweak things and make things a bit more balanced, or we need to, hey, Home's out and we're just going to completely ruin the meta 2 months out from what's so yeah,
but that's the fun part, right? If the meta is shaken up, like see what people come up with.
Yes and no. Like, the problem is that people like to have a lot of knowledge and practice with their teams. Like, there's different metas where and this is something you could find if you go and look at like past reports from top players and stuff like that. A meta will either be a sort of like a matchup based situation where it's all about what Pokemon you have that play good into other teams. And so either you sit down and you look at your team and you look at your opponent's team and go, lost on the matchup, shit, sort of thing. And so it's all about just like what you bring. And there's other ones that are about sort of how well you pilot the team. So the meta is like really stable. It's down to how good you are at playing with it. So like the most recent finals at the EUIC, those two teams are basically identical, right? But it all came down to a little bit of luck on some crits and wake ups and stuff from sleeps from Amoongus and how the two teams played to the outs that their team had. And so that's where sort of, if the meta shakes out 2 months before Worlds and you don't have a lot of time to learn what your matchups are good are and how to play the team effectively, and it's a meta where it's about how good you can play the team, it doesn't really give us a good result at the end of Worlds, and a lot of people come away from it a bit disappointed because they feel like they could have done better if they had more time to practice, and that's sort of where it's not good. But if the meta is more about who brings the best team on the day, not necessarily who plays it the best sort of thing, then going into that meta with a huge shake-up, it also kind of sucks because it's just about who could find the most broken team and make sure nobody else found it online so that no one else knows the counter to it sort of thing.
I see. So it's not like any other game where a meta shake-up is really, really fun because you see people experiment. It's like from what I'm hearing, it's like it somewhat is, but at the same time, it's like not really.
So Series 2, Regulation B, when that came out and added the Paradox Pokemon, it was a massive shift in the meta, and like a lot of people started bringing a lot of different teams, and even towards the end of Regulation B, there was still a lot of like variation in the meta, and so that was an opportunity where just adding the Paradox Pokemon was a good meta shift, but also because there was enough time between that and Worlds coming up, that huge meta shift was fine because people have enough time to still get used to it and adjust. And then Regulation C ended up happening like way earlier than a lot of people thought. But it's good that it happened earlier because if that remains the meta going into Worlds, people will have enough time to have experimented, shaken up the meta, and practice with the teams. It's just if the meta changes too close to Worlds, then it's just where things become bad, sort of thing. Like if the Regulation C meta ended at the end of this month, right? Like if it was like, oh, Regulation C is till the end of April, and then whatever we announce at the end of April goes until after Worlds, people would have like 4 months to practice, and that wouldn't feel so bad. Even if it was at the end of next month, they still had 3 months to practice, not 2. It's just about making sure people have enough time to actually get familiar with their teams, and 2 months is probably, I don't know, some players might be fine with it, like Wolf Glick, for example, to name one of the really good players, he might be like, cool, 2 months, I got enough time to get enough practice in because, you know, he's a content creator, like he plays Pokemon essentially for his job, so he would be able to have enough time to do it. Whereas some of the people that are like, oh, I'm a good VGC player, I grind out on the weekends and stuff like that, but it's not what I always spend all of my time doing, they might feel a bit slighted by like, oh, well, I don't have as much time in that 2 months to practice as someone else did, so there's no point in going to Worlds even if I qualify. Although that would be dumb, people would still go anyway because, you know, it's a chance to win and be a world champion, so why the hell wouldn't you? But you get the point.
Yeah, I get you.
So yeah, meta shifts are good, you just don't want them too close to big tournaments. Like, Regulation C kicked off at the start of the week before the Sydney Regionals. So like the Sydney Regionals that happened a few weeks back on the weekend was like 2 days after Regulation C started. So the fact that Regulation C was announced like a month before it started meant people were practicing Regulation C on Showdown for like a month before that tournament, because you couldn't play it on cart on like the online ladder because it's not available. It's still Regulation B, right? So
that's true. Yeah.
So I guess that'd be the other thing, right? So say Worlds is Regulation D, which is what it would be called. If they announce like at the end of this month, Regulation D will be this setup, and we're like, oh yeah, home will be out, the DLC will be out, and that means you'll have access to the Pokemon sort of thing. People would have 4 months to plan. You wouldn't necessarily have 4 months to play on cart, but you'd be able to play it on Showdown and practice with it and stuff like that. And unless they added move tutors and new moves into the move pools of some Pokemon, it'll be enough time to get a good idea of practicing with it. So yeah, it's sort of just about how they approach the announcement for what the World's format's going to be. Like if they give people enough heads up, now that I think about it, yeah, that would still be fine for a meta shift going in.
Okay, yeah. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying now.
Yeah. Good question though, actually. Very good question, because yeah, the meta is one of those things that you kind of if you played back in the day like I did, like RS, it was just like, this is the meta. It's okay, we've announced the format for the 2021 season or whatever, just to pick a random year, right? And it's like, from the start of 2021 until Worlds, it's just this meta, it doesn't change, which means if people solved the meta, you were just stuck with that team. So why Chalk was everywhere, right? The Griselli, Chen, all of that.
Yeah, that.
Because
all
people
that
were just
back
like, this is the best team in the meta, so everyone just kept playing it.
Oh,
All right, cool.
all right, sounds good.
Let's
Well,
see.
thank you for teaching me today, my dude.
Not
Appreciate it
a
a lot.
problem at all. Happy to give you a bit of a heads up and you know, sort of take you through it, because it is very, very fun. Like I like playing competitive Pokemon, so always happy to get more people in and interested.
All right, then I'm gonna head off.
All right, thank you for being here. I will catch up with you later in the week, because we got
Sure,
Fight
man.
Night Friday, and yeah, good luck with your team. Hope you have a bit of fun messing around with it on Showdown. I'll send you some of the links to the sites and stuff as well.
Yes, please.
When I finish up, so you've got them to all bookmark and everything.
Yes,
and,
please.
yeah,
I
ask
can't
me any
remember the
questions, stuff you
2,000
want.
sites you went through.
Look, it was like 7. All right.
All right, man.
Have a good one.
Appreciate everything, man. Later.
Later. Now enlightened to become a Pokemon master. I mean, look, these are the basic building blocks. The last couple of big tournaments, there's a couple of regionals in a row where a guy who had never been to a regional tournament in the US actually first placed. Like, one regional he was first. Was it a regional or was it NAIC? No, it was a regional and then top 16 at the next regional and then won the regional after that. So he came first in the top 16, then first again, sort of thing. So in his first 3 ever actual official in-person tournaments. So, you know, it's entirely possible. You just gotta, you know, get on board, get in the meta, get practicing, and you too could be a Pokemon master. Like, I know you're partially joking, but hey, it's entirely possible. All right. Shall we raid? You know what? I know exactly what I'm gonna go and raid. Let's go and raid someone we raided last night as well. Let's get the raid message up. Would I ever be joking? Sometimes. There's the raid message. Hopefully this drops on me. I think I fixed it earlier. Hey, there we go. Cool. All right. That's the raid message. Copy it if you want to get those lovely RSK hearts for the raid. If you don't have a subscription, you can go ahead and pay 200 channel points to unlock that emote. We do have the one to make a choice for the emote you want to unlock. Let's go and raid General Mars 2 nights in a row. Why not? Give Mars some more love. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for being here. Not sure if HJ is still out there listening in to the stream, but thank you as well for the opportunity to basically go, hey, here's all this stuff I know about Pokemon, and thank you for the interest in getting into VGC. Maybe see you at a tournament sometime in person in the next year or so, because I'm going to be trying to make it out to some local regionals and probably the OCIC next year, so maybe we can meet up there at some point or something. But yeah. Hope you all had a lovely time. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. You've been lovely as always. I've been Avros Kargath. I will catch you all next time. But for now, that's going to be it for me. So, Otso Abby.